Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com.
Hi, this is Scott Wilkinson, filling in for Leo Laporte, and this is the Tech Guy Podcast. This show originally aired on Saturday, July 5th, 2014 on the Premier Networks. This is episode 1097. Enjoy!
The Tech Guy Podcast is brought to you by Gazelle, the fast and simple way to sell your used gadgets. Find out what your used Apple or Android device is worth at Gazelle.com.
Well, hey there, Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy who decided to take a little break, a little vacay. He's off in lovely Hawaii, probably sitting on a beach somewhere, sipping a fruity drink with a umbrella in it. What could be better? Except possibly sitting here talking to you about home theater. Now, of course, Leo is the tech guy, right? And as he says, he talks about anything with a chip in it. Well, I'm more of a specialist. Whereas Leo's a generalist, I'm more of a specialist. I specialize in audio-video technology, particularly home theater, and stereo systems and stuff like that. Also, commercial cinema. I go out to the movies quite a bit, and there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the technology of commercial cinemas, going out to the movies. So I'm really quite interested in that as well. So we are going to be taking calls today about home theater and that sort of related stuff. Helping me, as usual, with Leo, I'm so thrilled to have Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, on the phones with me, helping me screen the calls and line them up and get them ready for me. Hey, Heather.
Hey, Scotty. So good to meet you in person.
It is so good to meet you in person.
You're in flesh.
Well, across the glass anyway.
Yes.
Now, you know what? I have to say, I remember listening to you with Dr. Dean Adele. You know, I would drive around on the weekends and hear him and hear you guys bantering and go, man, she's great. And all of a sudden, here you are with Leo, and I get to do it.
Oh, I'm thrilled. I remember you listening to us. I sensed you.
Yes, well, you know. So you are the phone ranger and do a great job. I'm really happy about that. I do want to ask you, though, what have you got in your home in terms of audio and video?
Oh, Scott, it would make you cry.
Oh.
It's like the Goodwill of home theater. And a lot of it's not even hooked up. So
oh, man.
I'm going to drive you out to my place.
Well, I would be very
absolutely.
I'd be very happy to help you out. Maybe improve the situation a little bit. You got a flat screen TV at least? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not one of those old tube jobs, right?
Right.
Okay, very good. And are you listening to the speakers in the TV, or do you have actually separate speakers?
I am using the TV speakers for now.
Okay.
Believe me, I have high hopes. A couple more paychecks, and I'm going to bring everything up a notch.
Okay, good. Well, please call upon me when you're ready to do that.
Okay.
And I will help you get the most for your money.
Because I am, I love music. I want my whole house wired for sound.
Oh, yeah.
That's my ultimate dream.
Right. And there are some great systems to do that, too. There's one called Sonos, which is pretty expensive. Denon, you've heard of the name Denon, just came out with a new whole house wireless. And this is the key thing about these things. They're wireless. So you can put speaker here and a speaker there. You have to plug them in, so you need to be near a power outlet. But other than that, you can you stream stuff around the house wirelessly. You don't have to worry about, how do I string this wire around to here?
I think that's been impediment.
Yes, exactly.
Is that I know that I would have to get up on a ladder and run cords and stuff like that. But the future's catching up with me to where I'll just put things wirelessly in my house.
Right.
God willing.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'll be very happy to help you with that.
Okay.
And meanwhile, though, of course, if anybody wants to ask me a question about home theater, audio, video, anything like that, all you have to do is pick up that phone and call 8888 Ask Leo. Now, of course, I'm not Leo, but the phone number stays the same, and it translates to 1-888 827-5536. And of course, you can also join the chat room, which is really a lot of fun. I monitor the chat room during the show, and you can get there from the website of the show, techguylabs.com, or you can go to irc.twit.tv. There's a bunch of ways to do it. Right now, there's about 560 people in the chat room. Leo calls them his brain. And I rely on them, too, for the same thing, because they often can think of things that I don't. They're like, as Leo says, the kids at the back of the room. Hopefully they won't throw spitballs at me. But no, they're mostly they're very friendly folks. And the chat room is well moderated as well. So there's plenty of family-friendly fun going on in the chat room. Yes, the Sue the Writer says, we're the group mind. Those of you who are into sci-fi know that I am too. So that's certainly a great reference. Anyway, what's going on in the world of home theater and commercial cinema? Well, tons of stuff, actually. Probably one of the biggest announcements I heard this week or last week was that Samsung is getting out of the plasma business. Now, Panasonic left the plasma business last year. Those of you who are at all familiar with TVs know that plasma is one type of flat panel TV technology, which I happen to prefer over the much more popular LCD TV. That has just taken off and basically dominates the flat panel TV market. Plasma, though, really is a superior technology, but it didn't sell nearly as well, and its numbers have been coming off so fast that Panasonic last year, after a triumphal introduction of TVs, plasma TVs, said, you know what, we're done. We are getting out of the plasma business. And at that time, Samsung and LG were the only other two that had plasma TVs, and Samsung's were actually very, very good. But just last week, Samsung announced, we're out, we're done. We're finished with LCD TVs, with plasma TVs. They are focusing instead on LCD TVs, and more in particular, at a higher resolution. Now, high definition that we all have been living with for the last 10 years or so has a certain pixel density or pixel resolution, which is 1920 pixels across by 1080 pixels up and down. Now, that's really, really nice. It looks beautiful, especially on a normal-sized TV, say 50 inches, 60 inches, at a distance that most people sit from their TVs, which is 9 or 10 feet. And that has worked beautifully for the last 10 years or so, ramping up somewhat near the beginning of that. But now we have a new TV standard called Ultra HD, sometimes known as 4K. Now, that number 4K refers to the number of pixels across. So instead of 1920, we double that to 3840. And we double the vertical resolution as well to 2160. So there are 4 times the number of pixels on the screen, over almost 9,000 pixels, 9 million pixels, sorry, on the screen. 9 million pixels, 8.8 to be exact, whereas regular HD has 2.2. So you might think, well, great, that just gives me so much more clarity, so much more detail. Well, yeah, if you're sitting with your nose right up against the screen, it will. But most of us don't sit with our nose right up the screen. Remember what your mother said, don't sit too close to the TV. Well, she may have been right with CRT TVs. They actually did give off some electromagnetic radiation, but flat panels don't really, that's not really a concern. But, you know, you don't like sitting close to your TV. I don't like sitting close to my TV, that close anyway. So I sit back. You know, my distance is about 8 feet, actually. And high definition, regular high definition looks fabulous. You can't see the pixels. It's very smooth. It's very beautiful. And 4K, this new format with 4 times as many pixels, there's a question about whether or not how much that really improves the picture. I don't think it does that much. There are people who say that it does, and so it's a matter of some opinion and debate. And we will continue to talk about it during this entire show, I'm sure. It's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
That's it, man. Relax.
Sweet.
If you're running a small business, you can't operate.
Beginners-ish luck.
Sorry?
We're having beginners-ish luck.
Beginners-ish luck. Great. Who we got?
Yeah, really good calls.
Excellent.
2 more lines to go, but I only had to weed out a few people who, didn't get the memo that
didn't get the
it
memo,
wouldn't be
yeah.
about their laptop today.
Yeah. Man, that's tiny.
Yeah. Leo has a hard time reading it too.
I will bring my other glasses tomorrow.
There's an application on the computer we can do, but he didn't want to have it in 2 places.
Yeah, I understand.
What we can do during the commercials is kibitz about who's lined up.
Who's line? Yeah, okay.
So I've got.
Well, then you can tell me who have we got here?
And you can do that on the air. You can ask her on the air.
Yeah, that's true. I could
Yeah.
even do that.
But real quickly, thinking about getting new Ultra HD. What do you think?
Excellent. That's perfect lead in from the last comments I made.
Okay, should we just go there?
Yeah, sure.
Got a 3D movie question.
Excellent. I love that.
Volume on TV.
Excellent.
And, older bookshelf speakers.
Excellent. All good.
Okay.
It's all good. So, Friendly Manitoba saw a 50-inch Changhong this week on eBay, $400 Canadian, delivered. Changhong is one of the up-and-coming Chinese companies. There used to be the Japanese, right? Panasonic, Sony, Sharp, Toshiba. And then came the Koreans, Samsung and LG. And they started eating the Japanese lunch, so to speak. Now the Chinese are doing the same thing to the Koreans. And everything's made in China anyway, so it's an interesting thing. And who will come after the Chinese is really the question.
India is backing it up for affordable automatic cloud backup at work.
What?
After the ad, we'll turn it up.
Oh, okay.
No reason for us to hear the ad.
No, I agree.
But we want to hear the cue music.
Of course. So, are you going to tell me when that is, or should you'll take care of it? Bless your soul. You're a gentleman and a scholar. Okay. Hey, Tech Dino. Logan 5 has an audio trivia question. Do you want it now, or should I call it in? Well, calling. Do we have lines open? We do at the moment. So, Logan 5, call it in.
What about editing AVR Plus?
Sorry?
Is that something you could do, editing from AVR Plus? That's what I'm hearing.
I'm not sure I know what that means exactly.
Okay, I'll double check.
Double check and see if you can explain a little.
Line for Logan 5.
Okay. Netcac says Google I/O said they will do high-frequency data transfer using mic and speakers. Can this be done? I'm not quite sure what that means. Can you elaborate a bit on that? High-frequency data transfer? Does that mean high audio frequencies? Does that mean high bandwidth? I honestly don't know. Lawn Dog, I do not have experience with a new Denon receiver with Wi-Fi speakers. Jeff, and I should come to your new apartment. A lot of speakers and TVs to make it awesome. A lot of speakers and TV would definitely make it awesome. Oh, that's you? Oh. Yeah, well, we could do that. Right up the street, even better. Perhaps transmission of uncompressed data stream, Cadman. Yeah, that could be. Certainly there's a lot to talk about in terms of high-res audio and uncompressed audio. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy who's sitting on a beach in Hawaii having a wonderful time while we here back in the studio are hard at work. Although I must say for me, it's hardly working because I just dig doing this tremendously. And I'm here with Heather, and we are going to start taking calls right away. In fact, Heather, what line should I take first?
Let's take 3. It's Jim in Fremont who is talking about something you were just talking about.
Hey, Jim in Fremont. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for taking my call. I am just so thrilled that you're on this week because last week my 9-year-old JVC rear projection TV started going black on part of one of the screens.
Oh, man.
Part of the screen, yeah. And, of course, there's no handy guy with the wrench in his pocket who can work on these. So I guess I'm in the market for a TV.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably not be looking at an Ultra HD. I know I've heard many of your comments saying, well, maybe it's not quite ready, but I'm kind of stuck. I need a TV. So some questions about that. Of the main brands that are out there, I've kind of looked at the big box, the Samsungs, the Sony.
Mm-hmm.
Which pictures are you thinking is going to be best, and what about features? Is there a way to kind of future-proof my purchase? And I guess I'm looking at 60 to 70 inches and kind of not too hot, not too cold, Goldilocks, 2,500 to 3,000, so not at the super high-end, super large screen, but kind of in that middle of the road.
How far do you sit from your TV?
About 9.5 feet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So believe it or not, at that distance, the optimum screen size for high definition, regular, what we used to call high definition, now I sort of call regular high definition, is about 70 inches. So that's pretty big. It's bigger than most people think. So Sony certainly makes a beautiful TV. Let me first answer the question, should you get a UHD or 4K TV? I generally say no, and I say that with a bit of hesitation because early adopters are really important in our business, and so it's for people who have the money to spend, then it's great. But really, there are some elements of Ultra HD that aren't settled yet. The screen resolution is, but the dynamic range isn't. The color gamut, the range of colors it can reproduce isn't. So buying one today is not necessarily future-proofing yourself. So and they also command a premium. So I would suggest probably better to stick with HD at this point.
Okay.
It's especially if you're trying to save some money. There's no content either. That's the other thing. I mean, yes, Netflix streams House of Cards, but how often can you watch that? I mean, it's a great show. I love it, but
I'm like everyone else. I'm not looking for the
bang for the buck.
I like to save some money, but I also like to probably go closer to the higher end and then kind of keep it forever, keep it for 6 or 7 or 8 years.
Sure.
And the pricing difference from what I've seen is, let's say, $2,200 up to the Ultra HD, which are now in the $3,000 or on sale to $2,800. So $400 or $500, it doesn't seem like it's a good step for me to go back to a standard HD at this point.
Well,
with a couple $100 difference.
See, the problem is, I mean, yes, an Ultra HD will take your regular HD content and upscale it to its native resolution, and some TVs do that better than others. For example, there's this Chinese company with a Japanese name called Seiki, which makes a 4K TV, an Ultra HD TV, that looks beautiful when you feed it Ultra HD content. But its internal upscaler, that is, if it gets high definition and then has to upscale it to its resolution, its native resolution, it looks terrible. And they've even admitted that to me. So that's not one I would get unless you have what's called an upscaling Blu-ray player. But even then, if you're watching TV, if you're watching cable or satellite or something, the TV is going to be doing the upscaling unless you have an external processor, and that gets a little expensive. So, again, I say
for the big three, let's say LG, Sony, and Samsung, which are the ones giving the best picture right now? Would you say?
I would say generally Sony.
Yeah.
And then followed by Samsung, and sad to say LG in third place, in my opinion. That's my estimation. And if you can afford to get one which uses what's called full array backlighting with local dimming. Now, this means virtually all LCD TVs these days are illuminated. Their light source is a series of LEDs, these little LEDs. And for the most part, they are around the edge of the screen. This has all kinds of problems. Some companies do it better than others, but there's some inherent problems with it, particularly what's called screen uniformity. So if you're watching a scene of outer space or something and you want it to all look the same black in outer space, it doesn't with these edge-lit LCDs. Very rare. With a full array backlit TV, you have a bunch of LEDs behind the screen in a two-dimensional array. And they can implement a feature called local dimming, in which different zones of the TV of these LEDs can get darker and other zones can get brighter depending upon what's on the screen at that particular moment. So I recommend looking for what's called full array local dimming, or FALD, or FALD. One thing you might look at also, believe it or not, is Vizio. Now Vizio has their 2014 lineup is all FALD, all full array local dimming. The lower end sets only have a very few zones, and so it doesn't work all that well. I just got an M series, a 60-inch M series. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I am going to be taking a close look at it. And the Vizio also is a great value. Generally speaking, I really like the way they look. So a 70-inch M series could be an excellent choice for you. I would definitely take a look at that certainly as a cost-saving measure, and you're not really giving up that much. I don't think Sony, I'm not sure now if they make a FALD set in regular high definition. They may only reserve that for their Ultra HD sets, which are pretty expensive, but they look great. The X950B is this local dimming set, Ultra HD, and it's fabulous, but it's quite a bit more than you want to spend.
Yeah.
So I would say look at Sony or Samsung or Vizio. Those would be my three choices. Now, going to Costco or some big box store to look at them and see how they look is very difficult because they're under very bright lights. They're always in their vivid mode, and it's difficult to really judge whether they're really going to perform well in your house. But those are the three that I would definitely take a look at.
All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate your help.
My pleasure. No problem at all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, boy, the issue of shopping for a TV is very difficult. And whether or not you can really make any kind of value judgment in the store, I honestly don't know. Whoa, what was that?
It was just the line dropping.
The line dropping. Okay, well, I'm going to get used to all of this, and while I do, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, sitting in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
So yeah, one up. Sure, we're down. Okay. When you're done with the call, just slide it down.
Oh,
then you won't hear him hang up like that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's a small
Actually,
thing.
no, I have a piece of tape. I can feel it and just hit the off button.
Or that.
Or
Perfect.
that.
Perfect.
Scott's not answering.
What?
Scott's not answering.
Oh, no. What am I going to do?
What happened? Is there an earthquake?
I'm not answering my phone. I should be on right now after the break, right? I mean, this is my normal segment.
We should have gotten you on tape.
Yeah, I should have pre-recorded my own segment of talking to myself. That would have been good.
And then you could be all, you look really good today, or you've got something in your mustache.
So Jeff N, Vizio 65 full array for only $1,500 M series. Yeah, exactly so. Exactly so. Yeah, when Leo's done with the call, he slides the fader down. I'm probably going to just hit the button because I can do it without having to look over there.
No, he hits the button sometimes.
Does he?
Yeah. Sometimes he slides it down. Sometimes he hits the button. Okay, tell me if the commercial's over.
All we're hearing is...
Okay.
Do-da-do-ba-do-bow.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Really helps to have a countdown timer. It really does. Because otherwise, I have a little countdown timer app on my iPad. Because otherwise, I just lose total track of time.
Oh, yeah.
I just do.
It takes a lot of doing radio to where you're like, it's just in your head.
boom.
It's sort of a brain muscle memory or something.
Bill in Michigan, it's okay to talk to yourself, just don't answer. Good point. Johnny Jett, I think, is going to do a segment today. As far as I know, he is.
Okay.
What screen size for approximately a 6 to 7 foot viewing distance? I think that's about 60 inches. You can Google screen size calculator, and the first one that comes up is a really good one. Oh, Logan 5 couldn't get a connection. His question is, what is a loudness switch? And why did they make that, and do they still put them in main amps? No, they don't really. Into AV receivers is where they were. And it's basically, as I recall, it's a dynamic compression. It reduces the dynamic range between the softest and loudest parts, which makes everything sound louder. It's also good for, well, it's sort of related to midnight mode. A lot of AV receivers still have that, but you have to kind of dig through the menus to get it, which also reduces the dynamic range, lets you play the content at a lower volume, interestingly enough, and still hear everything. So it's great for if somebody's sleeping in the next room or something like that. Cadman, yeah, that's to have amps that reach to 11. Thank you, Tech Dino. I'm always happy to be here. Cameron Cat got a 55-inch Vizio M series at Costco for $975. Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm going to be taking a look at M series myself here very soon. R. Chandra says the loudness switch boosts the treble and bass, which roll off at lower volumes. Oh, okay. I didn't remember that. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Heather, who we got next?
We have Frank in Riverview, Florida, with a 3D movie question.
Ooh, I love 3D movies. Frank, hey, you're on with Scott Wilkinson. How's it going?
Oh, great, Scott. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks.
Thank you so much for taking the call.
Oh, my pleasure. Hey, 3D movies, I love them. We know Leo doesn't like them very much, but I do, so fire away.
I'm hoping glass is free. I'll really get it going here.
Well, there is that, too. We can talk about that. But what's your question?
My question is, I'm having a strange occurrence that I can't quite explain. I have a 65-inch LG Passive 3D TV. It works beautifully with DVDs, Blu-rays, and everything. But when I watch, say, from like YouTube videos on the smart TV, or if I mirror 3D from like an iPad or an Android device, or if I watch a downloaded 3D movie, all side by side, sometimes, but not always, I get this very strange effect, and it appears that the entire screen image shrinks down to about a third or a fourth of the normal size. The entire image has an out-of-screen effect that appears to be about an arm's length away, and there's actually depth going into the image. So it's a 3D image about a third of the size with the whole image sticking out of the screen, and it's not practical to watch it that way. It's very unnatural looking.
Oh, sure.
I don't know what's causing it.
Well, do you mean to say that there's like black bars around the image, that the image is small on the screen and the rest of the screen is dark?
If I remember correctly, if I look back at the TV screen, I think there might be bars back there, but what this looks like is just an image about a third or a fourth the size right in front of me. And there is depth in it. It's a 3D image, but I don't know why the whole screen appears to shrink and then come out close to me.
I have no idea. That is really puzzling. My first impression would be that it's a defect in the TV. How long have you had the TV?
Well, I've had the TV for almost 3 years, but it plays Blu-ray 3Ds perfectly. It plays memories perfectly.
Okay, all right. So tell me again, under what conditions it does this weird thing? It's when you're streaming from the smart TV functionality?
It's not, well, not really streaming from the smart TV, but I'm sorry, actually that's correct. I've mirrored from an iPad, Android. I also have some movies that are downloaded that are side by side, or YouTube videos that I'll do from a smart TV. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would be streaming. Mm-hmm. Now I have an Android PC box, and I found that if I use the native video player on it, it seems to work fine. But if I use any other player, I'll get that effect.
Wow.
And a lot of times it doesn't look like it's a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. It looks almost like a square or maybe a 4 by 3.
Well, let me ask you this: when it is 4 by 3, and you're pretty sure you're watching a movie, a widescreen movie, do the people look kind of skinny and squashed? I'm thinking perhaps what you happen to be watching is a 4:3 image, but that's difficult to say.
That's possible, but the fact that there's depth going into it and everything just throws me. I played with the settings on the TV, like instead of setting it 16:9 to do auto adjust by program.
Yeah.
I tried every setting there. It doesn't change it.
Doesn't change it. I got to say, it sounds like a defect somewhere in the chain. And you say it works when you're using the TV's own smart TV. Do you have another streamer, like a Blu-ray player or a Roku box or something like that streams in, and does it do the same thing with those?
I do have a Roku box, and I went on, I think it's Well TV and a few different things, and it's fine. And I've also did some of the 3D LG apps, and they played fine too.
Wow. Well, I must admit this is a bit of a stumper because I can't imagine why it would do it only on the TV's internal smart TV functions, and you said certain other functions as well, certain other inputs. I'm trying to remember exactly under what conditions this happens.
Okay, if I play like YouTube videos or anything
on the TV.
Yeah, mirrored from...
or mirrored. That's right. That was the other one. Mirrored. Right. Got it.
Yeah. And sometimes it works, too. It doesn't always do it.
Even worse.
Some videos and...
Man, I got to tell you, the worst possible type of problem is intermittent. It's like when you get sick and you go to the doctor and you're fine. And the doctor says, well, what's wrong? Well, nothing right now. But yesterday I was feeling lousy. The same thing happens here. If it's intermittent, it's very difficult to diagnose. Maybe somebody in the chat room might have a question or a possible solution, an idea. HD is saying, take a picture of the problem and send it to me, because I'm having a hard time visualizing it. It's true. But the fact that it's intermittent is really puzzling. Keep listening and let me... Zendrome had a good idea. Update the TV firmware. Have you done that recently?
Yeah, and I used to get prompted the first couple of years having the TV, but now in fact, just this week I checked for any updates and there weren't any.
Huh. Okay, here's Legs 11 in the chat room says, I've had this on a 3D on LG as well. The side-by-side can get messed up if the video isn't 16:9. So that's kind of interesting. If you're watching some video that isn't 16:9 aspect ratio, then that may be a problem endemic to LGs. I had never heard of this before, so you're educating me, and I really appreciate it.
Okay, and to be clear, I don't know for sure that there was ever a specific video that did it one time and didn't do it the other. So it could be the video and not necessarily an intermittent within the same video.
Yeah.
I'm sure on that.
Well, thanks to Legs 11 in the chat room for bringing that up, that it may in fact be related to the aspect ratio of the signal that's coming in. If you watch a Blu-ray and it's 16:9 and you're watching other things that are 16:9, they look fine. But then you say the aspect ratio of this weird effect looks weird, but it's also 4:3, it's not 16:9, then that indicates to me that might be something of the problem. Lawn Dog in the chat room is saying, what kind of video input are you using? And it's a great question. Are you using HDMI? Although this is also for the internal streaming on the TV, so the video input wouldn't necessarily make a difference.
Correct. Everything that I would play externally would always be HDMI, but yes, this is coming from a different, it's coming from the TV. So
yeah, exactly. I think that Legs 11 had the right idea. That it may be a problem with the LG TV that it has with 3D, side-by-side 3D, which is what you're using, with signals that are not 16:9, and it may not be fixable. Try to get a hold of LG customer support and see what they say, see if they've had any other complaints of a similar nature. I must admit, I don't know that much about LG's customer service. Some companies are better than others when it comes to customer service, but I'd contact them anyway and see what other examples of this they might have come across, and it may be something they can fix, or it may not be. Sorry to say.
Okay, since there were some movies on Android that would play okay on their native player but not on other players, could it be the actual player software too affecting?
Yeah, I suppose that could be too. As you say, if you stream it from your, or mirror it from your tablet and that doesn't work, but you do it from your computer on a different player and that does work, then we're talking about an interface problem, interaction between the player software and the TV. You know, TVs have gotten so complicated these days. I mean, they really are computers that are dedicated to one purpose, but they're computers and they're very complex, and these interactions might crop up. I had never heard of this one before, but I will definitely keep my ears out for it, and if there's anything else I come up with, at least while we're talking, I'll certainly let everybody know. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
Can you hear me?
Here's a super secret website building tip.
I just want to double check with you.
Yeah.
I think this is a great question. Maybe we could look it up really quick.
Yeah, sure.
Someone asking about how best to dispose of an old screen.
Like an old TV.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
assume, you know.
No, I can talk about that.
Sustainability, et cetera.
Yeah. No, that's
Good,
great.
Good.
Let's see, that was 3, right? That was segment 3, so here comes segment 4. This goes by so fast.
Oh, I know.
You know, 3 hours and zippity-doo-dah. Lawn Dog, you're right. This sounds like the classic problem when all the devices don't talk to each other properly because there really aren't reliable standards for interfacing. Well, there are to some things. HDMI certainly is a pretty reliable standard. Chandra, yeah, I've got a countdown timer here that I just need to make sure I watch. Cadman, missed a bunch of what you're talking about. Don't TVs have a scale setting to convert the image size? Yes, they do, but he tried them all. Exactly. Yeah, the smart TV apps doesn't apply. Exactly. Best Buy takes them free now? Mr. Mike, what do you mean? You mean old TVs? That's a good, yeah, if Best Buy does an e recycling program, then that'd be great. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, okay, good. Mr. Mike, Best Buy will take TVs and any tech for recycling. Excellent. I'm glad to know that. Dem 90. HDMI is very reliable, but only with $80 cables. At least that's what the salesman told me. Yeah, I don't believe that. Check with your town. Some do it once a month by picking up or going to dump sites. Yeah, in LA, there's a couple places that are just e-recycling places. Oh, Eric Duckman, I'd call the local Best Buy before hauling stuff down there. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
I just stumbled across a list of the top 10 4th of July movies.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Cute. You might try Googling it. Red Dawn is 10. And then some Yankee Doodle type stuff.
Right. Right. Okay.
Well, that's what I was kind of looking for.
Are you looking at the Forbes site?
Yeah, it actually links over to something else, but still, if they linked it, why not?
Yeah, sure. Top 10
What's out
movies.
this weekend? I have no... Nothing's on my
Oh,
radar.
Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is coming up next week, next Friday. And
Okay.
I want to talk about that.
Oh, good. But this should be a blockbustery type weekend, right?
It should be, yeah.
People in other parts of the country are trying to duck out of the hurricanes and the heat.
Hey, we are an American band and digging it totally. Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You know, it's the 5th of July, the day after the 4th of July. I hope all of you had a wonderful 4th of July holiday. Heather, did you do anything interesting yesterday?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, what'd you do?
Well, the classic San Francisco 4th of July. Will we see the fireworks or won't we? We don't know. So it was half and half.
Oh, yeah.
Blowing fog.
The fog.
With the actual firework coming down below.
You know, that can, I mean, sometimes when I go to see fireworks, you know, the smoke kind of acts like fog in a sense. You know, towards the end of the show, there's all this smoke from the previous fireworks.
I love that smell. Do you?
I do too. I do too. You know, we're staying here in Petaluma, and as we were driving up from the airport, we saw all these signs saying Marin County, no fireworks forbidden in all of Marin County. And we go out to the parking lot of the hotel here in Petaluma, and everyone's blasting off their own little fireworks. And we went, wait a second. So we asked somebody, and they said, oh, but this is Sonoma County.
Right.
Just one count, just over the county line, and there you can buy fireworks and shoot them off. I remember doing that as a kid. It was really fun.
It's just I'm sorry, but Sonoma is just as dry as Marin this year. I mean, it's just a bad year for it.
Yeah.
Not saying, just saying.
Yeah, right.
Not to be Debbie Downer, but.
Yeah. On the other hand, it was in a parking lot, so.
Right.
You know, they weren't like shooting off rockets that were going, you know, hundreds of feet away, because that could really be a problem,
okay,
you know.
Good.
So we didn't actually, it was kind of foggy here too, so we didn't get to see a lot of fireworks.
Oh.
And we saw some, you know, those ones. And then, of course, we turned on the TV in our room and watched the Capitol 4th, which was great.
I saw that a couple years ago. It's phenomenal.
It is.
I should have recorded it and watched it tonight.
There you go. Exactly so. Exactly so. Okay, who we got next?
Well, we have Lee in Big Bear, and I think that he's got a great question that vexes a lot of people.
Oh, good. I love vexing questions. Lee, hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Hey, Scott, how are you?
Doing great, thanks. How about yourself?
Good. A question I have is, I used to have a Sony rear projection TV in the past that when I watched television shows and then a commercial came on, it would automatically adjust the volume. But now with my Sony Bravia flat screen TV, for example, if I'm watching, a good example would be Hawaii Five-0 on CBS.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they have the action sounds, all of a sudden it's extremely loud, but when they talk, I got to turn the volume up, but then I have to turn the volume down. Is there a way to equalize the sound?
Well, I wonder if there might be what's called a midnight mode or a dynamic range compressor in the TV. Are you using the TV's own speakers?
Well, I also have it hooked up to the Sony Surround that I bought for it, and it doesn't seem like either one of them actually do it.
And now, is it by the Sony Surround? Do you mean a home theater in a box? Do you mean a Sony receiver and speakers?
Give you the model. It's a DVD home theater system.
Okay, it's a home theater in a box.
Yes, sir.
That's what it is. Okay, so that may or may not. Have you looked through the menu system and the manual to see if there's a dynamic range compression feature?
Well, I'm in the middle of the screen on the TV now because I figured you might ask me something. And through the audio things, it says something about equalizer at the very top. Then it says only available in certain countries and regions. But I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to look for under sound adjustments.
Yeah, it would be under sound adjustments. Equalizer typically has to do with changing the balance of frequencies, high to mids to lows and so on. So that's probably not it. It would be something called midnight mode, might be called dynamic range compression, or just compression possibly.
There's a thing under sound mode says dynamic enhances the treble and bass sound to make sound clear.
No, that ain't it.
Yeah, and then the only other ones that really have is, you know, if I'm hard of hearing or something, I can't hear lows, I can't hear highs. I actually have super sensitive hearing, so I don't have any problem hearing anything. My problem is every time I'm watching, you know, and it's like when certain commercials come on too, it's like extremely loud.
Yeah.
Play games with my remote to adjust the volume, and like I said in the past, the older TV I used to have that I replaced, you know, the one I bought that replaced it. That one automatically did it. I didn't have to sit there and...
Yeah. Well, the problem has also gotten worse over the last few years. It's so bad, in fact, that Congress passed a law called the Calm Act. commercial automatic loudness. I forget exactly what that stands for, but it had to do with the fact that commercials are louder than TV shows often, and it's getting worse. Now, it's not that the commercials are actually louder, it's that they are dynamically compressed. And so all of the dynamics of the commercial are in a tiny little space, so the distance between the softest and loudest parts of the commercial are very small. Whereas on a TV show, say, or a movie, that range is much greater. So the commercial sounds like it's louder, but it's not. But it sounds like it's louder, and it's a bummer. I mean, it's really annoying. I agree completely.
Yeah.
So you don't have the TV's not handling any of the audio, right? You don't have any devices going into the TV. Everything's coming into this DVD home.
Well, I mean, the TV has its own audio, so sometimes I listen to it with the TV audio on, as well as what comes out of the sound. You know,
out of the DVD player, yeah.
Yeah, through HDMI.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, but it really doesn't make that much difference.
The TV itself might have such a feature in its audio menu, so you might want to go into its audio menu and look. That would only affect its own sound, not the sound of the DVD player or the home theater in a box. You know, I'm thinking about there are certain things. There are devices that have been made. I'm going to have to look for this. I don't know if I have the time to do it right now, but there are separate boxes that do that do this, exactly what you're asking for, which is to normalize or dynamically compress the sound, and you put it in between, say, what are you watching on TV, like a cable or a satellite box?
Right, yeah, because I even asked the people at DirecTV, and you know, they were scratching their heads too. They hadn't got to do what I'm saying. I was asking them, is there something I can put between my DirecTV receiver and my TV, which automatically will make the sound equal all the way through, so I don't have to sit here and, you know, while I'm watching a program, lower the volume, raise the volume, lower the volume, raise the volume.
Right, exactly. I'm pretty sure it was SRS Labs that made a little device that did that. I'm going to have to look for that. I can't find it right off the top of the screen here, but Arduino is one, perhaps. I'll have to look. Keep listening. I'll find it maybe at the next break and see what I can find for it, because I know that there are little devices, and maybe somebody in the chat room knows. Mike Heiss in the chat room might be able to tell me that. Let's see, Marsworm has a Sony home theater in a box. It has a night mode. It doesn't make much difference, he says. Okay, well, then that might not be. Here it is. Jeff N. in the chat room says Amazon has something from a company called SESCOM, S-E-S-C-O-M, which is called the SES Normalize It TV Volume Regulator. So let's take a look at that. That might be something worth checking out. Yeah, it's a little box. It doesn't do it over HDMI though. It does it with simple stereo RCA plugs. You know, the right and left, the white and red stereo plugs. So
hello, red.
You know that you'd have to use that. You couldn't use that with HDMI. There's another possibility. Geffen might make one. I'd have to look that up as well. And certainly, Howard is pointing out in the chat room that you could look a little bit later. James DeRuvo is writing down everything here, and we'll actually add stuff that I find later into the show notes.
Okay, good.
Which you can find on techguylabs.com. And for this show, whose number is, I don't necessarily know, but someone's going to tell me in just a second. Here's somebody else saying one of the web people in the chat room is saying tvsoundregulator.com. That might be interesting.
Yeah, okay.
Take a look at that, tvsoundregulator.com. That looks like a little box. And, oh no, I went to this website and it started talking at me. Anyway, tvsoundregulator.com. I'm going to take a look at that. Jeff N. in the chat room says SESCOM also makes an HDMI version. So go to SESCOM.com.
Okay.
And look up SES Normal HDMI. Looks like that's
But
that would be an excellent.
Or it's called a sound regulator.
Yes, sound regulator.
Great.
That's it. Hey, thanks so much for the call.
Thanks for your help.
It's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
You know, I think this, Alex, is this the point where we might want to hear from... That's right. Leo is sitting on a beach, as we know, but I think he has sent us a message in a bottle. Threw it off the edge of the wharf, and here it is, drifting into Petaluma as we speak. Let's hear what he has to say.
Hope you're enjoying, Scott. Thank you, Scott, for filling in for me on the Tech Guy Show. I'm in Hawaii, basking in the sun, but I had to come back to remind you that Gazelle is waiting to hear from you. Have you gazelled your gadgets yet? You know, there's gold in them. There are drawers and closets and boxes under your bed. Those old gadgets might be worth quite a bit of money at gazelle.com. If you're thinking about getting a new iPhone or an HTC One, you got the old HTC One, maybe you want a newer iPad or a Moto X, well, go to Gazelle. They'll buy your old Android or Apple devices. They'll even buy broken iPhones and iPods. You can lock in your price today for 30 days. Send it to Gazelle when you get the new device. Gives you some time. You don't have to. You're not committed. You don't have to take advantage of it. But it's good to lock in that price because I can tell you one thing I know for sure about all those gadgets, those old gadgets you have, they're not gaining in value. They're losing value day in, day out. So go right now to Gazelle.com. Get that quote. Lock it in for 30 days. When you decide to sell, you just push a button. Gazelle sends you a box. The right size box, prepaid postage, so you don't have to pay the postage. They'll turn it around quickly. If you forget to wipe the data, they'll do it for you. Don't worry, your privacy is guaranteed. And you're going to get cash or check or PayPal credit. Or if you're an Amazon user, you might want to get the Amazon gift card because that is worth an additional 5%. Free shipping, fast processing, and most items qualify for a free box. You got to go to Gazelle, GAZELLE.com. Join the more than 700,000 customers who have been paid now more than $100 million for their old stuff. Stuff that just wasn't getting any more valuable in their drawers. Gazelle.com. Now we take you back to Scott Wilkinson and the Tech Guy Show, already in progress.
Bill in Michigan, it's expanding, not compressing. No, the commercials are compressed, actually. They occupy a much narrower dynamic range. And when the top of that narrow dynamic range is at the top of what can be broadcast, which is where it is, then it sounds louder than the TV show, which has a greater dynamic range, which means that its average level over time is lower. Lawn Dog says, there's an easy answer to the problem, but advertisers do not want you to use it. That would be a signal issued by the broadcaster in the program before the commercial to contact a chip in the TV to adjust the volume levels accordingly. Well, I think that's part of the Calm Act, actually. Mars commercials are simply noisier. Yes, Eric Duckman, they basically move all the low levels up. That's exactly correct. R. Chandra saying, what I think Bill was saying is that the TV the caller is using is expanding. I suppose that may be. But then again, he wasn't listening to the sound mostly through the TV. It was mostly through this home theater in a box. Bill in Michigan says it's the caller's problem sounded like expansion, and he mentioned a setting that sounded like expansion. Actually, he mentioned a setting called EQ, or equalization, which possibly could mean volume equalization. It normally doesn't. And the Sue, the writer, says the Calm Act has nothing to do with the problem. Has nothing to help the problem. Well, that may be. Oh, and look, Web 0268 says, I found a TV regulator box from AVS Forum. You know, I should mention that I work at AVS Forum, shouldn't I? I'll do that at the top of the hour. How to stabilize level audio signal television broadcast. Okay, good. Let me take a look at that. That's a good one.
Yeah. It's from 2007.
Oh, well then, never mind. So it is. Yeah, you want to run your signal through a compressor.
Problem with the HDMI ones is they make everything two-channel.
Sorry?
The HDMI audio regulators make everything two-channel.
Oh,
Yeah.
ouch. Ouch.
I mean, so it's basically RCA.
Right. So it's the same as that other RCA one.
Yeah.
Although it's going through HDMI. All right.
I'm sure it's harder for them. But commercials aren't probably in.
No, they probably aren't. But if it turns everything into two-channel, then it's turning your TV or your movie or whatever into two-channel.
That's why the RCA is better, because then when you're watching TV, you can actually do that, and when you're not, you can switch to your HDMI input.
Good call on that. Waikiki Guru says hello from aloha rather from Aspen. What are you doing in Aspen, Waikiki Guru? You live in the world's most beautiful vacation spot. How could you vacation anywhere else? I suppose even if you live in a beautiful spot, you need to vacation somewhere. Yes, Loquacious. I should definitely mention that I'm with AVS Forum. I think I will do that at the top of the hour. So Logan 5 says, my experience with some old movie syndicator channels, I guess maybe TCM, for example, is that they lower the movie's volume, forcing you to raise yours to hear it, and then the commercials blast out. Yeah, that does make it a problem for sure. Rusty Bones, with AVS Forum, we don't need any other source. Well, probably not, actually. Thank you, N4O. AVS Forum is quite fantastic, I think, if I do say so myself. Not only because I work there, but because the forum membership, the community, is really amazing. Ah, Waikiki Guru is in Aspen for the music festival. Excellent. And the fir trees, which you're not going to get in Hawaii. Okay, I agree with that. That makes sense to me. Oh, sure. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm doing good on calls, but I was like, maybe I'll do a little Google Plus thing and, invite other people to call in with their... Okay, thanks.
Thank you. That's great. Yeah, Bill in Michigan, he said dynamic enhance of treble and bass. That could be expansion. It could. You're right. I don't see any reason to do expansion, though. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Oh, yes, Rob, thank you. And the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Okay, I'm going to take the top of the hour to talk about my day job, and also Dawn of Planet of the Apes.
Good. I thought your day job was ape slaying.
Was what?
Ape slaying?
Ape
Damn,
slaying.
Dirty apes.
Damn, dirty apes.
Apes and sharks. None of us are safe. Man, every picture in that studio looks good, it seems like.
Well, it's the lighting, I think.
I know.
It's very cool.
We look amazing.
Oh, thanks. I went to a lot of trouble to put lighting in my home studio when I do my podcast and my bit on this show. And I think it really paid off.
You're on.
Hey there, how you guys doing today? Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy, who's taking a well-deserved and all-too-rare vacation, if you ask me. Sitting on a beach somewhere, having a wonderful time, while we here in the studio are bringing you the radio show. But whereas Leo talks about anything with a chip in it, I am focused on home theater, audio, video. In fact, I wanted to tell you about my day job, which is I'm the editor of a website called avsforum.com. AVS stands for Audio Video Science, and it's a community of over 1 million, literally, members who are AV geeks just like me. So it's a wonderful community to be in, and I produce editorial content, as they call it, because I have been in this industry for well over 20 years. And so I have access to information and events and so on that most people don't. So I'm very happy to bring that aspect of things to the community. In fact, one of the things I just wrote about, and I wanted to make sure I told you about, is an upcoming summer blockbuster, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And Heather is digging it. She's thinking that's going to be great, right?
Yeah, I look forward to seeing it.
So are you an Apes fan? Have you been, did you watch the original one? 1968 with Charlton Heston.
Was it that long ago?
It was that long ago.
Gosh.
This is one of the longest running movie franchises I know of. It's huge.
Oh, right.
This is the, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes is like the 8th Apes movie. There were a couple of TV shows. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Wow.
Well, 20th Century Fox rebooted the franchise 3 years ago. 2011 was Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I thought was really, really good. It told the story of how the apes got their intelligence, their increased intelligence in the first place. It was a byproduct, an unexpected byproduct of drug testing. Yeah, it was like an Alzheimer's drug that they were testing, and it turned out that they were using apes as lab animals, right? And so, okay, there's the whole ethical dilemma about that. But one of the apes, whose character name is Caesar, played by Andy Serkis, managed to, he ended up with essentially human-like intelligence, and fomented the escape of the other apes from the research facility because they were being treated badly, right? And so and this was all in San Francisco, so we're kind of near where it all took place. And they ended up, dashing into the woods, Muir Woods, actually, very near here.
Oh, that's right.
And that was the end of the movie, except for the fact that one of the humans started to develop a weird disease, which came about because of the Alzheimer's drug. He happened to ingest it somehow accidentally. So here we have now Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I'm not going to give away too much. I wrote about this on AVS Forum. It's 10 years later, and the apes have started a community. And meanwhile, the human population of Earth has been decimated by this plague that was unleashed at the end of Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I found this movie to be just fabulous because, well, for a number of reasons. One is Caesar. He's the leader of the ape community, and he wants to try to avoid war with the humans because he realizes that a lot of his members of his community, the ape community, will die, but there are others in that community who are much more hawkish, who, they want to go steal the guns from the human survivors in San Francisco and wage all-out war and kill them before they get killed, So it addresses all kinds of interesting issues like fear begets violence. And how can people live together in a really bad situation? People and apes now.
Yeah.
Another great thing was how the apes, they have this intelligence now, but they still don't have true vocal cords, right? They don't have the ability to really speak. They're starting to speak, and they speak in short sentences with short words sometimes. Some of them do, but a lot of them communicate with sign language.
Oh, wow.
And guttural utterances. There's a word for you. Say that 5 times fast. Gutturance, exactly. Especially I think it's an orangutan whose name is Maurice, who has these really low frequency emanation, which when it comes out on Blu-ray will be a great subwoofer test.
So are there subtitles? Or
there are, yes. No, there are subtitles.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And it's a wonderful movie. It opens July 11th which is this coming Friday. I recommend it highly. If you can see Rise of the Planet of the Apes first, it would be good because it is a follow-on. But it's not really necessary. I mean, as long as you know sort of the basics of what happened. And what I did when I went to see Dawn at a preview screening, I went back and I read the synopsis of Rise, just so that I made sure I remembered, you know, exactly what it was about. And Andy Serkis, who plays Caesar, did an amazing job. And the whole thing about how they basically, Andy Serkis and the other people who played the apes were in leotards, and they had to act like apes. But then this computer-generated imagery, they were replaced by apes, computer-generated apes, but following the movements. This is a technology called motion capture, or mocap, and it's remarkable. It's just remarkable, and it's totally seamless. There are scenes with apes and humans interacting. And even there's one moment, great moment, where one of the humans and Caesar are kind of, their foreheads are touched to each other. It's a very touching moment. It looks completely real, unbelievable. Let's see. Matt Reeves is the director. First time on the Apes series, but I think he did a fabulous job. So I recommend it highly. And otherwise, at AVS Forum, you can go and you can ask any question you want, and you will get a plentitude of answers from the multitudes of people who hang out there all the time. And you will find a bunch of stuff that I write as well. Oh, man. Those of you who might be watching the live video here at live.twit.tv are seeing something on the screen from the original Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston giving Zira, I think her name is, the ape character, a kiss on the lips. Well, you don't see that in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or even Rise. You did, however, see it in the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes, which was some time ago. I forget exactly when it was. And that was universally panned. Normally, I like Tim Burton movies. You know, I mean, he does very weird, interesting stuff, and I'm a weird guy interested in interesting stuff. But I didn't see that one, but man, oh man, it got panned. And there was a big smooch in that one as well between a human and an ape. Now, you know, whatever. Like I said, this is a reboot, and it's a really good reboot, I think. So very intelligent and thoughtful and somewhat ambiguous. You know, are the apes really going to take over? Are they going to find peace somehow? We don't really know.
I love the way you describe the themes that apply to our real life.
Exactly.
As a planet. You know,
exactly,
getting along.
Yeah, universal themes, only this time between apes and humans,
yeah.
You know, cross species. So I found it fascinating. I recommend it highly. Go see it next weekend. It's going to be It
is worth your $10.
It is worth your $15. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Back after this.
Clear.
Oh, which link?
It's the one that says, have you seen this? It's amazing.
Have you seen this? How long ago did you put it?
Like a minute.
Oh.
It's a time link.
Oh, there it is.
Have you seen that?
Yeah. Fireworks?
Yeah. They flew a drone through fireworks.
Oh, man.
It's amazing. If you just like go halfway through.
Somebody flew a drone into the fireworks display. Wow. Oh, of course, but there's an ad first, which you can skip.
Alex is finding it, I think.
Oh, okay, good.
So cool.
Those of you who are watching the live stream, check out this video of a drone flying through fireworks. Man, oh man, that sounds cool. Hey, Padre SJ is in the chat room. So nice to see you. Thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that very, very much. Padre, whatever you do, don't press the big red button under the desk. Okay, I won't. Will that take us into hyperdrive?
Self-destruct.
Okay, let me just pull up number 2. Costs are everything. Well, maybe not everything. Wow, look at that. Look at that video. That's amazing. That is so cool. Wow, look at that. I'd be kind of afraid that the drone would, get hit. Yeah, what's $1,000? Padre S.J. Hyperdrive is only light speed, and light speed is too slow. We need ludicrous speed. That was a great movie. That was a great movie. Although I have to say my favorite Mel Brooks movie is probably Blazing Saddles.
This is stunning.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
I mean, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, yeah, fireworks. I've seen them.
Seen
How can
that.
you improve on them?
Been
That's
there,
how
done
you
that.
improve on them.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
I know. Wow, look at that.
I think they were running it backwards.
Oh, okay, now it's running backwards. I thought that. I said, no, that can't be. That's got to be backwards in time.
Implosion.
Ludicrous speed. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, banging my head against the walls of the Brick House studio here in lovely Petaluma, California, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. During the break, we've been watching this amazing video. Oh, my God. If you're not watching the live video stream at live.twit.tv, you should go Google fireworks drone, because somebody took a drone, one of these little unmanned aerial vehicles, with a camera and flew it through the fireworks last night. Unbelievable. Wow. It's just phenomenal. Heather, you had a great comment.
It's ridiculous. Well, I've always thought, okay, fireworks, seen one, seen them all. How could you improve on it? That is exactly how you improve on the experience. Even on the small screen that we're looking at, it's blowing my mind.
Yes, exactly. And if you could imagine seeing that on a 70, 80, 100-inch home theater screen, would that be amazing? It's like, why go out to fireworks when you can watch that?
You're so close. You are the fireworks.
Yeah, you're in the middle of the fireworks.
You could get burned.
I was concerned that the drone itself, might get taken out by one of the shells,
True that.
It's possible anyway. Let's see, who we got next?
Well, we've got Jack, who... well, he didn't call himself a Luddite, but he's like me, and I call myself a Luddite with regard to some home speakers we don't want to give up just yet. He's on 5.
On 5. Hey, Jack. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome. Hello, Jack. I don't hear Jack. Well, I think we're going to just have to go somewhere else then.
Yeah, Norman in Tallahassee has a question for you.
Oh, okay. Where's Norman in Tallahassee?
3.
Wait, I should...
Hello?
Oh, there we are.
Oh, Jack?
Oh, are you Jack?
Yes.
You know what? I had the phone turned off. I'm still getting used to these buttons, all these lighted buttons around me. Sorry about that.
Are you hearing me now?
I am. Okay. Welcome.
Okay, hi. Glad to be speaking with you. And I guess I really am too sentimental for my own good. I have my Dynaco A25s from the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a pair of A70s that Acoustic Research makes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And not Acoustic Research,
Boston Acoustics?
Yes.
Okay,
and those
sure.
are A70s.
Yeah.
And my question to you is, am I missing something for speakers that are in this category, bookshelf-type speakers, relatively, not too expensive, maybe a few $100s originally. Of course, things have changed. But are there equivalent or better speakers that are currently being made, or are these really as good as they get?
Well, Well, that's a really good question. Speaker technology per se has changed very little over the last 50, I might even say 100 years. It's basically a cone that has a wire coil behind it that the audio signal runs through, and that's embedded in a magnetic field. There's a magnet sitting there, and it causes the cone to push back and forth. There are other forms. Instead of a cone, there are domes, and there are some more esoteric types of things, ribbons and electrostatic and magnetic planar speakers, but those are pretty esoteric. The basic speaker technology hasn't changed in a long time. So, if you have a really good pair of speakers from the 1970s or whatever, I don't really see any reason to replace them, except for the fact that the part that connects the actual dome or cone or whatever the vibrating diaphragm is to the cabinet itself is a flexible material, typically rubber, especially in the old days. And this is called the surround.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Actually, I've replaced those.
Okay, good.
So,
good. That was what I was going to recommend.
They do deteriorate, and so I've replaced those.
Exactly. Okay, good. Then, unless there's some other problem with them, I don't really see any reason to replace them. I got to tell you.
I just thought that, that something more contemporary might finally have, surpassed those. Obviously, if you buy very expensive speakers, I assume that there's something that they offer.
Oh, absolutely.
That these do not.
Yeah.
But in the range of $200 to $400, which is what these cost, originally, is there something today for that same price range that would be materially better than these?
I wouldn't say materially better. I would say that people who are shopping for speakers today and want to spend that kind of money, I have a very clear recommendation, which is speakers made by Pioneer Electronics. They have been designed by a master designer by the name of Andrew Jones, who is in fact going to be a guest on my podcast next Thursday, and I'll tell you more about my podcast in a minute. But he is one of the world's premier speaker designers. He designs $80,000 a pair speakers.
Okay.
But he also designs what I think are the absolute best value speakers in the world, which they're made by Pioneer. The model number is, the bookshelves anyway, which is what we're talking about here, are the SP-BS52-LR for left and right. And they cost, I think, I'll have to look that up, but it's right in the couple $100 a piece range, maybe less. Maybe less than that. So, and they are the most incredible value that I have ever heard in a pair of speakers. I mean, everybody, all of my colleagues in the press, in the industry press, who hear them go, "Oh my God, listen to that. How can they be that inexpensive?" So, if you're shopping for some speakers in that price range, no brainer. Those are the ones to get.
And do you consider, I don't know if you're a home theater type, of course.
Yeah.
Do you consider car audio in your realm?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't really. Car audio is a whole nother can of worms.
Because if you look on all the forums, everyone raves about the ADS 320i speakers from the 80s and 90s. And I have several pairs of those, and I have them in my car. And I'm just wondering, is there something that you would have recommended? But I guess that's not really something.
I'm afraid that is really not my bailiwick.
Okay.
I wish it were, but all I know about car audio is that they are mostly in the North Hall of the Las Vegas Convention Center during CES, and I make my way through there as quick as I can on my way to the Central Hall because it's really loud in there. These car guys, they hold these decibel loudness Olympics. How loud can they make these car systems? And they get up into the 140, 150, 170 decibel range. It's like anybody sitting in that car would have permanent deafness in seconds.
Yeah, my tastes really run more toward classical and maybe theater and a little bit of jazz, but mostly classical type music. So I don't go for the high decibel type. Yeah.
Here are those Pioneer speakers, by the way, for $100 each.
That's amazing.
You can't beat it. Hey, thanks so much for the call. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
It's actually not a bad sound.
No, it's not a bad sound.
Leo did it, I think, last week.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of nice little boop, boop, as opposed to like click and then right.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Johnny is on Skype 1.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. It's time for Johnny Jet. I'm sorry, what was that, Heather?
I was just thinking, how can you blend you and Johnny's expertise?
Oh,
like
I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Well, headsets is one, but I also want to complain about hotel TVs.
Oh, great. That's genius. Thank you. Do you know, actually, that said, so we went on a family thing in January, and it had to be the Midwest, and it was freaking cold, and there was nothing else to do. So we knew that we were going to be holed up in a hotel celebrating Nana's birthday.
Right.
And we were like, oh, we'll bring board games and DVDs. They did not have any kind of way to watch DVDs. Or select your own films.
Yeah.
You know, that would be Nana appropriate.
So you didn't want to turn to the adult channel?
Right. And, you know, it was fine. We were in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and we went out and just bought one that was nice and small. My dad took it home. He's
sure.
like, I need a new
it was like,
one
what,
anyway.
$50 or $30?
They were
for
sweet.
and a DVD player, even I'm surprised you could even find one.
I think we did. Remember, it was Sioux Falls, so.
Yeah, okay.
Another decade. Sorry, Sioux Falls.
Yeah, they're in another decade. Hey, Apple fan, good to see you. Eric Duckman, yeah, I found it out. $100 each, or was it for the pair? Was I wrong? Did I miss that? I'll have to go and see here again. Pioneer speakers. It's unclear on this whether it's per speaker or for the pair.
I think it's each.
I think it's each too.
If you go to the floor standing loudspeaker, it says each.
Ah, okay. 129.
Right, but it says each at the end.
Yeah.
So it's probably each.
Okay, so it's probably each. Yeah. Apple fan, I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself? Sue the writer. Can I use?
It says sold as a pair in the Q&A down below.
Really? $100 a pair? I almost said a bad word. Yeah.
He's not answering, so I'm wondering
if he thought I wasn't going to be on.
Maybe
He wasn't going to be on. You know, I meant to contact him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I didn't.
So I'll try again, but if he's not on.
If he's not on, we'll just. Yeah, that's too bad.
And we didn't actually promote him on air, did we? Or did we?
No, we
I don't think
didn't.
you said it before you went out. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So there's that.
Yeah, baby. Oh, go Heather. She's playing air guitar over there really well, too. I dig it. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You know, I was expecting to talk to Johnny Jet today, but apparently he wasn't expecting to talk to me, and I'm really sorry about that because I wanted to complain to him, not that he has anything to do with it or anything, but the lousy state of hotel TVs. You know, it's like the aspect ratio is all wrong. Even my wife notices, and she is not a home theater geek. But even she notices. She says, well, why are the people looking all fat? Well, because the aspect ratio is wrong. They're forced into 16:9. Somebody in the chat room said something about, you know, the signal distribution is analog often, so it looks pretty funky. Heather, you were just on a family trip or something. And
yeah. I feel like families, especially those unlike ours that would have a lot of small children, it would be nice if they could play their DVDs and or games. And so you should be able to plug in things or interact with a hotel room TV, I think.
Another problem is, you know, the connections in the back. you can't get to it most often. I've been to a few nicer hotels where they actually brought the HDMI and analog connectors out to a little jack pack on the front.
Oh, awesome.
Which was awesome, right? But you go someplace where they don't have that capability, and you might not even be able to plug anything into it. And you said it was bitter cold there, and you had to actually go out and buy a DVD player. Did it actually work?
We did. We got everything working, but you're right. There was sort of some manipulating and getting behind the screen and da-da-da-da.
Right, exactly. They really don't want you to do anything. It's amazing.
We were not going to make that happen. Gosh darn it. It was cold and we had to have a movie.
That's right. And you could go out and buy a DVD player for what, $50 or $30 or something?
I believe it was,
Yeah, so it's become such a commodity. Even Blu-ray players today, $100 or less for a 3D Blu-ray player, even an upscaling one. We saw one at CE Week last week in New York from Seiki. Very kind of an interesting company. Makes 4K TVs very inexpensive, and they announced an upscaling Blu-ray player, 3D Blu-ray player, for $100, and a really good upscaler too. It uses the Marseille chip, which I have seen work very, very well. Well, anyway, we could complain and grouse about hotel TVs all day long, but let's answer another question, shall we?
Yeah, well, actually, it's less of a question, and someone has some information for you that I think you will love.
Oh.
It's Bill in Phelan, California.
Let me make sure I got the right button pushed, and the number is?
He's on line 1.
Line 1. Bill, hey, how you doing? It's Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek. Welcome.
Hey, hello, Scott. Can you hear me okay?
I can. I pushed the right button this time.
Great. Well, I've talked to Leo a few times before. My name is Bill Blake. I'm an actor and a special effects artist.
Fantastic.
And I was trained by John Chambers, who did the original Planet of the Apes makeup for the Charlton Heston film.
Wow, cool.
And as an actor, I got to also work in the makeup, and I'm the only actor who ever sculpted his own chimpanzee piece.
Wow.
For a little part that I had on the Planet of the Apes TV series. So I've had a lot of input over the years and a lot of contact with these people.
Excellent.
And I think I know where they're going with the new Planet of the Apes reboot.
Yeah, where it's at?
Well, back in the 80s, one of the serious things they considered was to ignore the 4 original sequels and always jump off from the Charlton Heston movie because the budgets were so low back then because of the studio's financial trouble.
Yeah.
And they kept degrading and getting worse and worse. They were down to like $1.8 million budget on the last film. So everybody always considered kind of like starting from the Charlton Heston movie and rebooting until they did the Tim Burton one, which kind of changed everything. Then they did what they called the reimagination then.
Right.
But what I really think they're doing right now, Scott, is that they seem to be moving toward the Charlton Heston film. Even in Rise, the space mission was taking off in the film.
Yes.
Okay?
Exactly so.
I think now that they've got the technology, I seriously believe, and I've talked to people about this, I seriously believe that they're going to do a George Lucas-style retouch on the Charlton Heston film and work it up from these films up to that time period, ignoring the original 70 sequels.
Wow. That would actually make a lot of sense.
Because the apes are already walking upright.
Yep.
They're already on horses.
Yep.
You've got a guttural orangutan,
Yep.
kind of like Dr. Zayas. I do the voices, too. I used to go out on the road. I actually am the guy who produced the live promotional shows for the movies at the time, and we used to go out as Zira and Cornelius, my stunt woman girlfriend and I. We used to do Perfect Roddy McDowell and Kim Hunter.
Wow.
Impression.
That is so cool.
On YouTube, you can see me doing the Roddy McDowell from Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, man.
If you want to look at it, can I mention it?
Sure.
Okay. It's Bill Blake, SPFX. Sam Paul, Frank, and X-Ray.
Okay.
Okay? All run together.
Short for special effects.
Yeah, short for special effects. Yeah, all run together, no spaces.
Okay.
And I'm doing the ape in there that I always used to do.
Wow.
So people always come to me about this stuff, and I get all of the lowdown on all of this.
That is so cool. I was particularly interested in how in the original movie and the 4, I guess, sequels after that, 3 or 4 sequels after that, it was people in ape costumes.
Right.
But now it's mocap.
Right.
Right? So they can just put in whatever they want it to look like, whatever they want the ape to look like. They're not limited to, the anatomy of humans.
Right.
And I thought it just looked fantastic.
And that's what I think they want to do with the Charlton Heston film. They'll be able to retouch the surface of the characters, but without eliminating Roddy McDowell, Kim Hunter, Maurice Evans' voices. They'll be able to use their essence, but they'll be able to just kind of reanimate the characters and give them more expression and more movement than we were able to do by the muscle control underneath the foam latex prosthetics we wore.
Right, exactly.
You know,
and even with the mocap and the the computer replacement of the actor, I thought Andy Serkis in particular did a fabulous job. You still saw tons of emotion out of that character.
They've got a motion capture camera, I think, that's on his face.
Yes,
and they translate all of that, too, so you get the exact expressions. And he's an old hand at this because he was also Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and he was King Kong in the Peter Jackson remake.
Yep, exactly right. I saw a picture of him, and he's wearing this camera that's actually sticking out from his head and looking back at his face. And so they're capturing his facial expressions, and man, I thought he did a great job.
Oh, he's excellent. He's been around a long time. He's a veteran at this stuff.
Yeah. At this preview screening I went to, they had a little Q&A afterwards with him and Gary Oldman, who plays the leader of the human community, and the director, Matt Reeves. That was really interesting to hear them talk. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance. They didn't offer, the audience any chance to ask any questions. They sort of said, well, okay, we're done. We got to hustle them away. They were gone.
Right.
But yeah, this is so great for you to call and give us this historical perspective. I wonder if purists might object to tweaking the original. Like, for example, on Star Trek, the original series, when they released the Blu-rays, they redid like the planets and some of the special effects, which were so funky in the day, and then they redid them with computer-generated effects, and they looked much better. But there were some people who said, fortunately, the Blu-ray had the option. You could pick the original or you could pick the updated special effects. And
well, that's the beauty of it, Scott, because you see, the old adage is often used, like when Ted Turner even started the colorized movies, you're painting a mustache on the Mona Lisa. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're painting a mustache on a copy of the Mona Lisa, and you leave the original intact so that the purists can view that anytime they want, and the new generation will be able to appreciate the new technology, but still sharing some of the history of the old and what the essence was, where it first came from.
Yeah, exactly. So I myself am a Trek fan, big-time Trek fan, and I watched the updated special effects because they look better.
Right, and everybody watches the updated George Lucas, where he went back in and digitally added more banthas and characters, all of the different alien characters and things.
Right.
Yeah. And George Lucas often said that a movie is never finished; it's abandoned when they stop.
That's a great point. Thanks so much. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Can you still hear me, Scott?
Oh, cool. I was particularly interested in how, in the original movie and the four, I guess.
Well, that's the 40-second delay, I guess.
People in ape costumes. Right. But now it's mocap. Right. So they can just put in whatever.
You're hearing the caller hang up
whatever they want the ape to look.
Can you still hear me?
I can.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you're listening to the radio.
For that time and for the ability to come on and mention that.
Oh, thank you so much for calling. That was great.
Well, you're welcome. Go look at some Google searches on me. You'll see a little bit more. There's a Apes Wikia, I think, out of Australia, and just type in Bill Blake, and you'll see some of the history of what I did on all of these things.
I sure will. I just wrote down your name to make sure that I know. And it's Bill Blake, SPFX.
Yeah.
On YouTube?
On YouTube, yeah. It's just one thing I've got up there now. I don't get there very often, but I put that one piece up from a convention I did where I actually did that for the fans out in front of the convention center in Pasadena.
Oh, man, that's so great.
So there you go.
Hey, thanks so much for calling and contributing that. I really appreciate it.
All right, Scott, you too, and thanks for all that you do. I appreciate all you guys. That's why I listen to you every week. I learn a lot from all of you.
Oh, thanks.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Good times.
All right. And then there was that bonk. I'm going to leave the telephone up, though. Oh, and here we are watching some regular... I don't know which Planet of the Apes this is. Alex can tell me at some point.
Oh, I wanted to ask you real quick.
Yeah.
Would you...
Which one? This is him. Oh, that's him. Oh, that's Bill Blake right there.
Caller? Is the caller on the line?
Yeah, right. Yes, you wanted to ask?
Digitizing slides.
Digitizing slides, not really my area of expertise. Thank you for asking. Yeah, Lawn Dog. See what kind of people are in the audience? Really great people. Apple fan. My fourth. Sorry?
Did you want anything from Pelham Market?
No.
Okay.
I'm good. Thank you. I don't eat while I do this. Apple fan asks, how was my 4th of July? It was very good. We went to see the... I forgot to mention that, too. We went to the Oakland A's game. It was during the day. We didn't see fireworks there. And we left after the 10th inning, the scoreless 10th inning. They finally won by 1 run at the bottom of the 12th inning. We were tired. We were done. Hey, Taylor Karras is in the chat room. How are you, man? Good to see you. Loquacious, I totally agree. The story of the Planet of the Apes is a great story. Really good. And I'm really glad to see them rebooting it in a really cool way. Not just, apes versus humans, apes good, humans bad. Or as the director said, some people prefer apes good, humans bad. I should say hi to Hacker 007, according to Hacker 008. And I will. Hey, how you doing? And yes, Rusty Bones is exactly right. The original Planet of the Apes script was written by, at least partly, I think, by Rod Serling, one of my favorite writers. That guy was amazing. Not Rod Sterling, Rod Serling. Exactly. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And we're having all kinds of fun here today. I'm here with Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, who's screening calls and getting them lined up, and I think we must have at least a couple left.
Yes, we do. Definitely. Eric in Torrance is asking about wireless mirroring.
Wireless mirroring. Ooh, let's see. Which line is he on? These things are so tiny. 2. Thank you very much. Eric in Torrance, California. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome.
Hey, Scott. Oh, my wise and mighty guru. There may not be a solution, but I mirror my Note 2. I'd like to root it, but I mirror it to my TV, and I take the little Netgear PTV 3000 over to people's houses, and I can just play a movie straight from the phone, which is really handy.
Mm-hmm.
But if I root it, apparently it won't work with the Netgear PTV 3000. I'm wondering if if there's another wireless gadget that would work with a rooted Note 2. Or, I don't know, maybe I could mirror it to the laptop and then just run HDMI to the TV, but...
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're in the Android universe.
Yeah.
I'm much more of a Mac guy, I'm sorry to say. In this particular case, I like being a Mac guy, an Apple guy, I should say, an iOS kind of guy. But, boy, a couple of my friends would know a lot more about this than I do. I would guess that mirroring to your laptop and then HDMIing into the TV would work.
I just wonder about the picture quality.
Well, I think it would be okay. It's all digital, so it's not going to degrade terribly. Bits is bits, as they say. Although, if there is some processing going on, there may be some degradation. I'm gonna ask the chat room to weigh in on this, because I bet you they have some good answers that I don't.
Awesome.
Belgian guy says immediately, Chromecast. Have you tried that yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Chromecast is very cool, and thank you, Belgian guy, for bringing that up, because I did forget about that. I don't have a Chromecast myself, but it's a little, basically it looks like a little USB thumb drive. And as long as your TV, the TV that you're going over to your friend's house or your family's house or whatever, has a USB input, I'm sorry, it's HDMI. It's HDMI, but it requires a USB to power it. It needs its own power.
Yeah.
So you plug it into an HDMI port on the TV, and all modern TVs have those. And then you need to power it somehow, either with a USB power adapter to a outlet on the wall, or if the TV has a USB port on it, you can use a little cable going from the Chromecast to the USB port on the TV, and that will power it. And then you should be able to mirror from your phone to the Chromecast, and that goes straight into the TV. So, boom.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I'm slapping on my forehead. I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Yeah, me neither.
Where I was, I waited until I could get a Netgear PTV 3000 for like 50 off eBay. So.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Michael Heiss in the chat room is saying when Android L comes out and the next Chromecast upgrade comes out, he'll be able to mirror from a Droid tablet or phone to the Chromecast. I mean, you can't do that now? I thought you could mirror from an Android tab or phone to the Chromecast. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm that now Mike's got me questioning that. Am I really right in what I'm telling you here? M. Heiss, you're in the chat room. Give me a sign. Give me a sign from above.
Yeah, 'cause I Googled the heck out of this, and I was thinking, well, I'll just put it on my Google Alerts to see if anything pops up. But
yeah,
I've been on XDA.
I mean, Google. A Chromecast would have to mirror an Android device. I mean, it's all in the Google ecosystem. I can't believe that it doesn't do that.
Well, as people who've played with tech over many years, we know that should and does are very different things.
Oh, that's interesting. Dem90 in the chat room is saying currently you can only mirror from a laptop running Chrome. Oh man, I thought I had a great answer for you, and it's not quite there. You can't.
Yeah, I think it's just streaming that you can mirror.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then maybe you need to bring your laptop and run it from Chrome. Okay, Lord Dragon. Some people in the chat room are agreeing with Mike that it will take the L release to do the mirroring. I can't believe that. See, I'm not in the Android universe, so I'm not necessarily really up on the latest from Android, but. Let me continue to research that and see if there are any other solutions that might pop up here.
Great.
But please do. And if I come up with anything, that's the first thing I'll think about. Thanks so much for the call. I really appreciate it. Okay, Heather, who we got next?
We have Dylan in Calgary.
Dylan in
He had to downsize his living arrangement.
Oh, that's a very common problem, isn't it? Hey, Dylan, all the way up in Calgary, Canada. Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You bet.
I used to live in a house, and I had a nice home theater set up with full Paradigm studio system.
Ooh, nice.
Anthem preamps and receivers.
Ooh, even nicer. Wow.
Yeah. And now I move into a smaller apartment, and, well, that just won't work.
It just won't fit.
Yeah.
Doggone it.
So I have it in storage, but now I'm just looking for an alternative for what you would think.
Well, do you have room for actual separate speakers, surround speakers, or do you not even have room for that?
Probably not, no. Yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I guess the one thing I would think would be there's a system that's been around for a long time from a Canadian company actually, called Energy.
Okay.
And they make something called the Take Classic, which is a 5.1 system. It's called a SAT sub system, or satellite subwoofer. And it's got 5 tiny, tiny little cube speakers that you put around you in a surround format, and a little subwoofer that you can put anywhere. There are guidelines on where to put it, but we won't get into that right now. They're so small that it might in fact fit.
Okay.
And I have heard the Energy Take 5. Sometimes it's called the Take 5 or the Take 5.1. I think these days it's called the Take Classic. I have heard it, and it's surprisingly good for what it is. You'd think these little tiny speakers. Bose also makes such a system, but as anyone who has listened to me regularly, I generally don't recommend Bose speakers.
I'd never liked Bose.
Okay, very good. So that's one solution. Another solution, if you really, 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 really don't have room, is a sound bar.
Okay.
Now, there are plenty of sound bars out there. There's tons of them.
Yeah.
And some of them do a fake surround or a simulated surround or a pseudo surround.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not really convinced that any of them are all that good. The ones I've heard, generally speaking, they might expand the sound stage out beyond the physical boundaries of the sound bar, but they don't really get behind you. My favorite sound bar these days is, again, from Pioneer. It's, again, designed by Andrew Jones. It's called they have these weird names for their products. I'm going to go back to the speaker bar. They call it a speaker bar. And it is the SP-SB23W. Lists for $400. And it's basically a 3.1 system. It's got 3 speaker channels in the sound bar, and then a subwoofer that sits off to the side, which is wireless too, by the way, which is kind of cool. And this is one of the best sounding sound bars or speaker bars. The guy at Pioneer told me that sound bar is actually a copyrighted name. I forget who owns it, but in any event, they have to call it a speaker bar. Okay, so it's a 3.1 channel system in the front, and it really, really sounds great. Highly recommended. So if you really don't have room for even a tiny little Energy Take 5 system, then this Pioneer speaker bar is the one to get.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll check those both out.
Good luck, and I hope you make it back into a larger space where you can use that fabulous system you've got.
Yeah, same here.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for the call, man.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah, a couple people in the chat when we're talking about Yamaha's sound projectors. Oops. Doggone it, I keep forgetting to hit that button to mute the hang up. Anyway, sound projectors, Yamaha sound projectors do have a fairly nice pseudo surround, and that's all I can say on the subject. It's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
Zonk.
If you're running a small business, you can't operate at anything less.
You can't operate on anything less than full efficiency. That's right. Let's see. Dem90 says $300 on Amazon for that Yamaha, for the Pioneer. I assume you mean. Yeah, that's great. Tech Dino. No, actually, my wife is an Android gal. I'm an Apple guy. She's an Android gal. But sort of ne'er the twain shall meet. I don't really, I should. When she's at work or something, of course, she always has her stuff with her, so I can't. When she's at work, I should abscond with it and experiment with playing with that in my home theater system to make sure I know what the heck I'm talking about.
Someone called and said Google Motion 4 and Motion 2 speakers for the last guy.
I don't know about them. Let me look them up.
He thought it would fit his needs.
Okay. Look, there's an Android. Two of them. Let's see here. What were they again?
Motion. Like motion in ocean.
Motion in the ocean. Motion 2 and Motion 4?
Yeah.
Motion 2. Let's see what that says. It's Google? Cities in Motion 2. That looks like a game or a simulation game or something. Yes, I meant Google Motion 2. Introducing Google Motion. That looks like some sort of app, not a speaker. Maybe 4? Nope. Doesn't look like that's a speaker. Or was that going to be an answer to the streaming to Chromecast? The last guy was
for
speakers.
The guy that's downsizing.
That's
I'm
downsizing, yeah.
Martin Logan Motion.
Oh, Martin Logan Motion. Okay, that's a different story. That's a very expensive
Those
soundbar.
you know of.
That I know about. That's like a $2,000 soundbar. Yikes.
Ooh, those are kind of neat.
They look beautiful.
The bookshelf ones are $199, and they're like sleek, small.
Well, that's not the soundbar then. That's that's their little bookshelf speaker.
Seeing random other things that came up. So 2 or 4.
Oh, Martin Logan Motion is a whole series actually.
Why are speakers always black? Come on.
Yeah, they do. You can get white ones.
Yeah.
There are some speakers that are white.
A lot of them. It's still rare.
But it's rare. Most of them are black. You're right. You're right.
No one's come in and done like a design thing.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe it's too girly, but
well, I was going to ask you if you think, I mean, the classic stereotype is, oh well, girls, they want pink speakers, which I don't think is what you're saying.
No, I should run this by you. Actually, I have some cabinet speakers. I'm like, I'm just going to paint the wood. I'm going to paint it white.
Yeah,
and I may even put different cloth over.
That depends on the cloth.
Yeah.
There, you're starting to get. I mean, painting, who cares? That's fine.
Yeah.
But the cloth that goes in front of the actual drivers is kind of important.
Needs to be
because it needs to be what's called acoustically transparent.
Yes.
Right? Because otherwise it could alter the frequency response of what you're hearing.
So do you think the lady at Joann Fabrics knows what acoustically transparent is? I was going to put some bric-a-brac around it, too.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that.
I'm going to knit.
Knit a little booty on it. There you go. I like it. Okay, so the Martin Logan Motion has a... Yeah, okay. So I think I see what he's talking about here. They make a bunch of different products. Martin Logan is fantastic quality, but generally pretty expensive. Yeah, they use this folded motion tweeter, which is kind of cool. It's a ribbon tweeter or air motion tweeter. Let's see here. Yeah, 2 hours already, Terry K. It is going way too fast. Oh, that's interesting. Marsworm says the caller who wants to mirror his Android phone now, he'll need an MHL cable to HDMI. Man, that I don't get that. Why is an Android device not able to mirror to a Chromecast? They're both Google-based things. They should have been just easy. Jeff N, $1,150 for an ML Motion soundbar. Okay. $1,200. Let's see who I just saw one here. Pop. Bacon Strip likes plastic that's painted with wood patterns. Chromecast does have mirroring apps that work, but only for select phones and dev phones. What is a dev phone? Oh. Okay, so that's not available to the general public.
No, it is.
Oh, it is?
It's more expensive.
Really? Yeah. Oh. Shows you what I know about phones. Let's see. Web2210 is saying, appreciate it if you could opine about the Samsung UN60 F7500. I'm pretty sure that is edge-lit, which I'm not all that enamored of, generally speaking. Here we go.
You're on.
Hey there, everybody. Scott Wilkinson here, the Home Theater Geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Hour number 3 of the Tech Guy Show. Man, the time goes fast, doesn't it? Quite amazing, actually. Just want to make sure everybody knows my day gig is I'm the editor of avsforum.com, the world's largest online community of audio-video enthusiasts. So I do hope you will go there and check it out. Join, become a member. It's totally free, and it lets you post comments and make suggestions and ask questions. And boy, when you ask a question there, you will get the knowledge of 1 million people. And you may, in fact, get contradictory answers, too, which is part of the problem. You know, it's the internet. It's the wild, wild west. But, you know, I'm there to do what I can to dispel confusion and provide interesting and useful information. So I do hope you will check it out. We had a caller last hour who wanted to mirror his Android device, his Android phone or tablet, I forget which, to a TV at somebody else's house. And somebody came up with the idea of using a Chromecast, which is this little, looks like a USB stick, but it's got actually an HDMI connector on it. Plug it into the HDMI on your TV, should be able to mirror. But then I got a bunch of comments in the chat room that, no, you can't do that yet. It's going to be a software update sometime in the future. And I'm going, what? Wait a second. It's a Google device. It should be able to do that right away. But apparently not. So Marsworm in the chat room is saying that you'll need a cable, basically an MHL cable, which is a form of HDMI, smaller connector used with mobile phones and so on, to HDMI, and actually physically connect your phone to the TV with HDMI. And I'm going, oh man, that's like so 20th century. We want to be able to wirelessly throw things around the room as we wish, and we can't quite yet. I'm quite disappointed in that. I'm more of an Apple guy, as you guys know. My wife is an Android gal, so but she's not a home theater geek, and she has all her equipment with her all the time, so I can't ever play with it. So that's the sad story of that. Anyway, so let's go back to the phones, shall we? Who we got, Heather?
Well, speaking of rolling into the 21st century, Glenn in Baltimore wants to do that. He used to like DAT players.
Ooh, I love DAT players. Hey, Glenn. Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. Welcome. Oh, first I have to turn on your phone. My apologies, please.
Oh, am I there now?
You are now.
Okay. I didn't know how to describe it other than saying a DAT tape system. But,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
What I have is an old Sony audio cassette deck with dual decks.
Oh, that has DAT on one side and regular cassette on the other?
No, they're both the standard.
Okay, dual cassette deck. All right.
When I got them, they were going kind of out of style at the time. They were introducing DAT at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So now, and of course, the problem with the old cassette decks is the belts start to stretch, and pretty soon nothing works.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was wondering if maybe they had something that was more of a solid-state alternative after DAT went out of style.
Well, sure, they do. You know, you can record digital audio into your computer, no problem at all. There are also some mobile devices. Korg makes one. Sony makes one. Can't remember the model numbers off the top of my head, but there are a number of solid-state. Zoom. The Zoom H4 is a really popular one. In fact, I used it at CE Week to record the audio for the video that we were shooting, booth interviews that became my podcast from that week. So there are plenty of devices that will record digitally now to a memory card of some sort, you know, an SD card or a memory stick. Sony uses that, different formats of memory cards, and then you can just translate it into your computer and go from there. The cool thing about DAT, digital audio tape, was that it basically recorded at CD quality, uncompressed, so it wasn't MP3 or one of these lossy compression schemes, but it was exactly the same as recording onto a CD. And in fact, that's what I used to master my wife's CD My wife is a singer-songwriter, and quite a few years ago we recorded an album in our bedroom recording studio, and I ended up mastering onto a DAT tape that I then took to the CD replicator, and they could replicate it, you know, bits for bits. It was just the same bits that would be on the CD, and they just put it on there, and it worked great. But it was tape. And tape these days, you know, is, as I said, so 20th century.
Right.
You know, anything with moving parts, like rolling tapes on reels and stuff like that, I'm not that interested. I'm so happy that we now have that memory is cheap enough and processor power is high enough that, you know, you can record wonderful stuff into your laptop without blinking an eye, and it doesn't break a sweat. No problem at all. So tape is dead. Now, the question is, do you have a bunch of DATs that you want to then convert and dump into your computer or something like that, maybe?
I actually have a bunch of LPs.
Well, there's another can of worms altogether, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought maybe there was like a TiVo only for audio, you know.
Well, certainly there are quite a few turntables, vinyl turntables, that have a USB output.
Well, I got the turntable, but you know, just nothing to record it to.
Oh, okay. Well, you could record it. Does the turntable have a USB output? Does it have the analog to digital conversion within it?
No, I have to go through it.
So you have to go through an analog to digital converter. Mm-hmm. So you buy an analog to digital converter, and you then just pump that data into the computer and store it that way. A lot of people do it. Of course, you can't expect miracles. We've been talking a lot about this, I have, with my colleagues over the last months, because, you know, there are audiophiles who swear by vinyl. You know, they say, oh, vinyl is the best medium and so on. And certainly it has its appeal. It has some beautiful characteristics, but, you know, high resolution isn't really one of them. Most turntables have 40 or 50 dB, decibels of rumble.
Oh, yeah.
In them, you know? So
I can hear it on mine.
You can hear it. Yeah, exactly. So, and you're going to record that when you take the analog output from the turntable and put it into an analog to digital converter. You're going to record that along with the audio. So you put that into an audio editing system, and you can tweak it afterwards, you know, to lower that amount of noise, but it'll also affect the audio signal, the part you want to keep as well. So, you know, it's not a flawless system. But a lot of people I know are doing that. You can also hire, there are some companies that offer this service. You send them your box of LPs, and they will digitize it for you and send you back a CD or a thumb drive or some form of memory that has it all digitally. I would, you know, unless you're a real geek and you want to do it yourself because it's fun for you, I would hire one of these companies to do it because they know what they're doing. They've got good equipment. They will optimize the audio coming out of the record player, the turntable, into the analog to digital converter, and, you know, do the best job that can be done under the circumstances. So, yeah, it'll cost you a little money, but, you know, it preserves your vinyl. And unless you really love the sound of vinyl and playing records and the act of putting the record on the turntable and cleaning it off and blah, 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 some people like that. So, you know, more power to them. Some people also claim it's a better sound. I disagree. I can't disagree that they like it better. Okay, that's the way it is. Hey, thanks so much for the call. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear. Perfect.
Hey, sorry I had to cut you off there a little bit.
Oh, that's okay.
Did that address what you were talking about?
Yeah, I was hoping there was like a rack mount, you know, item like a recorder that put it onto like a hard drive or a flash drive or something like that.
You know, you could probably find such a thing, but no, the real solution is to record it into a computer.
Right. I don't have a laptop. I got the audio,
desktop will work.
in one room, and then the computer's in another room, so I got like 40 feet of cable.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
When I plunk down the needle on the record, I run back to the other room, so I start recording.
I see now what you're getting at.
I get like several seconds of nothing before the record starts.
Yeah. In that case, what I would probably do is get a Zoom recorder.
I've seen those, right?
Yeah. And do it locally. That's what I would do.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.
Oh, you got a second?
Yeah, sure.
I was going to mention you're the Planet of the Apes fan. I was in a convention in Salt Lake City in like 1976, I think it was, and there was a guy there in full Caesar makeup.
Wow.
And costume.
Oh, man.
And he wasn't much different height than Roddy McDowell. And he sounded exactly like Roddy McDowell.
Wow.
I got a picture. I got a photograph of him.
Oh, that's so cool.
But it's he said he wasn't Roddy McDowell.
But how could you tell?
I wonder to this day whether it really was.
It could have been. I've been to a number of Star Trek conventions. I myself don't get dressed up, but the detail that some of these people get dressed up in their costumes is just astonishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is like something like Hollywood level makeup, you know.
Yeah. Well, same with the Star Trek convention. Some of them come as Borg. I don't know if you are familiar with Star Trek, but the Borg, with all of their stuff and their eyepieces and their hand things. I mean, it looks just like they walked off the set. Really astonishing.
Right.
Well, anyway, hey, thanks so much for the call.
Right. Bye.
Bye now.
That's what I like about it.
There you go.
I have the digital copies in like that, or crisp and pristine.
Mm-hmm.
I also like just like the final.
There is
just for that experience of put it on, sit on the couch, just listen.
Yeah. There, a lot of people like that. Absolutely, it's part of the experience. Mars Worm, is there a way to record my digital audio to vinyl? Why, yes, there is. You buy yourself a record-cutting lathe, probably only $100,000, if you can find one. Sure, you could do it. That's pretty funny. Audio says, watched a great BBC documentary called When Albums Ruled the World. Very good. I certainly like the album art. That was cool. Okay, we're not quite there yet.
Maybe I'll ask out loud. A woman called because she couldn't get in the chat room.
What?
I don't know how to explain that. Go to twit.tv, right?
Yeah, you can go to, TechGuyLabs.com will get you there, right? And also live.twit.tv will get you there.
And then just go through the menu.
Yeah, well, on live.twit.tv, there's a button that says Pop Out Chat. And you can click on that, and a second window opens up, and you can log into the chat room that way. Born in the USA. Pretty appropriate for today, the 5th of July, the day after the 4th. Celebrating our nation's 238th birthday. And looking pretty good for 238, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not without a few wrinkles here and there, but...
The 90s were hard on us.
The 90s were hard, yes. It's interesting hearing Bruce Springsteen. Last week I was at a convention called CE Week, which is kind of a micro CES. And one of the events there, which was really cool, was what was called a high-resolution audio listening party at a recording studio, professional recording studio in New York. And they had a bunch of really high-end engineers. I mean, Bob Ludwig is probably the most famous mastering engineer in the world. Frank Filippetti is a multi-Grammy-winning engineer, a bunch of people like that. And they were playing what's called high-resolution audio, which basically means better than CD, right? Greater frequency response, more dynamic range. But a lot of the cases, they were digitized from original analog master tapes, like, for example, Born to Run, which Bruce Springsteen made me think of. And these original master tapes are 30, 40 years old. And I doubt that you can get better than CD quality sound off of them into the digital domain to begin with. So calling that high-resolution audio, to me, is something of a question mark. But, you know, these guys, they know their business, and that's what they were saying. So, okay. Anyway, just thought I'd mention it. Let's take another call, shall we?
Yeah, Norman in Tallahassee also wants to get programming from his phone, but for free.
For free? Well, let's make sure, first of all, I have the button pushed, and then I will talk to Norman in Tallahassee. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the Home Theater Geek. Welcome.
How are you, sir? I'm looking for, because I'm disabled, a free solution to get video from my Droid X to my TV.
A free solution to get video from your Droid X to your TV. Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth, I'm embarrassed to say I'm not sure I know an answer. So I'm going to have to turn to the chat room on this one. Who in the chat room knows how to get from a Droid X, or an Android device, I think would be normally, to the TV? Certainly one solution that comes to mind is what was proposed from the last hour, which is using a cable, which I'm kind of hesitant to suggest, but okay. If you get a cable with a, depending on the phone, Droid X, I don't know if it has an MHL connector. How old is the Droid X? Is it new? Is it old?
Droid X is pretty old in cell phone standards.
Yeah, okay. In cell phone years, it's 482 years old. Then it may not have an MHL connector. Boy, you know, that's a really good question.
It has HDMI.
It does have HDMI. Okay, bingo. There you go. Take HDMI out from this phone, plug it into an HDMI on your TV. That's the easiest solution.
Certainly, what I basically did. But I'm looking for a software other than the software that came with it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Plex is another one I could use, but it's $5. And
oh, you can't even spend $5, huh?
I only get $35 a month.
Oh, well, $5 means something then, for sure. Let me not, you know, wow. Okay, I don't know. I can't think of anything. I'm going to, again, have to talk to the chat room about if there's any truly free solution in the software realm that will get the Droid X signal to the TV by way of software. You know what? I don't know. Keep listening, and if something comes up, I will certainly bring it up and let you know. It's a good question, and I certainly want to help you any way I possibly can. I just don't happen to know the answer to that particular question.
I appreciate it.
Sure. Somebody in the chat room may very well. So stick around, and let's see what we can come up with.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay. I hope somebody in the chat room comes up with a solution to that. I'm afraid I don't know. In the meantime, let's talk with someone else.
Someone whose money you're going to help spend,
Ooh.
Steve in Louisville, Kentucky.
I love spending money. Steve, hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater guy. Home theater geek,
hey,
I guess I should say. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Good. My 20-plus-year-old Pioneer audio receiver finally bit the dust.
They have a habit of doing that after a certain amount of time. Yeah, I know.
And I'm looking to replace it with one of these new AV receivers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we really enjoy doing is listening to internet radio and podcasts and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, along my searches, I came across the Onkyo NR646, among other receivers in that price range.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like it would do what I needed it to do. But then the more I thought about it, all of these receivers have... you know, you can connect like a Roku box to the back of it. So my question is it really worthwhile getting all the network stuff built into it, or would it be a better idea just to use the Roku?
That is a great question. The same question comes up with TVs that are called so-called smart TVs, where they have the ability to stream directly into the TV. Now, with the new 4K format, which we talked about earlier, it does make some sense because Roku and boxes like that typically can't really do it. But we're talking about internet radio here, right? Like Pandora, Spotify, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It really depends on which of those particular services you like and are subscribed to, and whether or not that particular service or app is on the Roku box or on the AV receiver or wherever it is. You know, if you know, do you have a Roku box already?
Yes, I do, and I actually have a subscription to TuneIn Radio was one of them, and I noticed it also has Pandora on it. So I think most of my bases would probably be covered with that.
Then you don't need to have it in the receiver. I don't think there's any reason to, except if you want to maybe take the Roku box somewhere else sometimes, right? On the other hand, there may not be much of an option. I mean, like these days, most TVs are smart TVs unless you go to the real low end of the price range. And the same thing with AV receivers. You know, you may not have any choice. It may not, you know, and who cares? It's almost coming along for free, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's true. And the other thing is, it seems like I've read about, you know, firmware updates via the internet for some of the newer receivers, and I'm wondering if I'm kind of locking myself out by not having that connectivity.
Well, but you'll get firmware updates on a Roku box as well. So,
that's true.
You know, it's a very interesting question. Let me talk a little bit more about it after the break. This is Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Clear.
So the Droid X has a hardware limitation?
Sorry?
The Droid X has a hardware limitation.
What does? Oh, it does?
So basically there's an app for $4 that enables the HDMI out, but it shuts down the LCD screen on.
Wow.
The processor isn't powerful enough to do both at the same time.
Wow. But this guy can't even afford $5.
Right, and then you would still need an HDMI cable.
Yeah, well, apparently he already has.
Did I ever show you this? The actual score?
Ooh, I think you did. Was that, how long ago? How long have you had that?
Years and years.
Okay, because you showed me a score.
I know I played the music for you, but did I ever actually show you the...
Yeah, you did. Yeah, I read it. It's very interesting. I'll look at it again.
I brought it just in case.
Yeah, cool.
Because you mentioned it last week.
Last week, yeah.
That was a really good chat.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Wow, okay, so Droid X. Am I right here? Right. So the Droid X has some serious hardware limitations. You need a $4 app to enable the HDMI, but then it disables the screen. But it's $4. Yeah, I'm kind of at a stuck.
The Droid X came out in 2010.
2010, which in smartphone years is old. Old and moldy. Lawn Dog says, recommend not buying Pioneer. After that much time, it should last forever. I have 2 SAE amplifiers and Technics stereo from 1976, and they play just fine today. Yeah. Oh, Dickie D. Oh, are we coming? No, we're not coming up on Dickie D yet. He's the next segment. Dickie D has a gadget to record vinyl.
It's a joke.
Mr. Mike thinks that last one was a scam call. He's called in the past. I don't know.
Scam how? Trying to get something free?
Yeah, I guess.
Pity?
I don't know. I don't know.
Everyone knows we don't do that.
I felt bad for the guy.
I actually remember hearing him talk to Leo before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I feel bad for anybody who can't afford a $5 thing.
So, Scott, my other question about a receiver is I need to be able to drive speakers like in up to 3 rooms.
Well, modern receivers do have multi-zone capabilities, sure.
They do?
Oh, yeah.
So is Onkyo generally a good brand to get?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I'm perfectly happy with Onkyo. Go on AVS Forum and root around in the receiver section.
Okay.
And you'll find tons of people who like them, some who don't. I have had good luck with Onkyos myself when I've looked at them, so I don't have any problem with them.
So the guy was saying he had a receiver from the 70s. This is actually my second receiver since the 70s.
Oh, wow. Jeff N. in the chat room says, I hate Onkyo. Love Denon, though. And Denon is a great brand. I have I don't think anybody hates Denon. Everybody loves them. So I would definitely look at Denon as well.
Okay, good enough.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you, Scott.
See ya. Marsworm says, well, looks like I can get a CD converted to vinyl for $700 for one vinyl record. I like it. Yeah, Rusty Bones has had Onkyo. I think here we go. Last half hour of the Tech Guy Show. It's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We had a call in the last segment about AV receivers. And off the air, the caller asked me about whether I thought Onkyo receivers were good. So far as in my own personal experience, I think they're fine. But that is not a universally held opinion, shall we say. In the chat room, there are a lot of people voicing their own opinions, and Jeff N., for example, says, I've had multiple Onkyos fail. Denon has a web control interface, OSD, so many higher-end features at the same price, and I will have to tell you that Denon receivers are fabulous. I don't think anybody can complain about Denon receivers. So when you're looking for a receiver, I generally recommend Denon, certainly, Pioneer. Yamaha generally makes a very good product as well. I personally like Onkyo, but that's, like I said, not universally held opinion. So certainly I would look at avsforum.com in the receiver forum, and you will find tons and tons of stuff about all kinds of different receivers. In fact, I will say that AVS Forum is a great place to go do your research if you're shopping for anything related to audio-video technology. Because if it's out there in a community that big, there are people who have it, and they are not afraid to voice their opinion. That is for darn sure. Okay, so I think we can go to another call.
Yeah, I think this is right in your sweet spot. David in San Diego on line 2.
All right, David in San Diego on line 2. It's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek. How you doing?
Good afternoon. I know, well, thanks for taking my call. I wanted to tell you that a couple years ago I bought Panasonic's VT50, the 55-inch plasma television.
Lucky dog.
It's a beautiful TV. I've been enjoying it.
Oh, yeah.
I got it through Best Buy, and they had a guy come out and calibrate it, and I paired that up with Oppo's 105.
Oh, my God. Oh, man.
This was in December of 2012. So I've been sitting back and started a beautiful Blu-ray collection. But in the back of my mind, before I made that purchase, I always thought about what OLED possibilities would be like. And I got to tell you, I'm a little put back by the fact that I wasn't able to pick up the ZT60 because that's supposedly the last great plasma television set.
Yeah.
I know that the industry sort of put a large investment in, a few $1 billion into building a factory to generate panels. But my question is OLED a viable technology that we're going to see, widespread, ubiquitous in the marketplace, or is it just, one of these niche things that show up and then just fade away?
Boy,
I'd just like to know what your opinion is of it. I'd really love to get my eye on a beautiful panel.
Sure. Well, man, I got to tell you, the OLED, organic light emitting diode, flat panel technology is stunning. It just looks great.
Oh, well, that reminds me. I want to always ask you this question, which is, have you ever seen an OLED panel of reasonable size, let's say 60-inch or better, do a native 4K display?
Not at 50 or 55 inches. I believe LG will be coming out with one later this year at 65 inches that will do native 4K or UHD, and they will be coming out also with a 77-inch that'll do native, that will have a native panel resolution of 4K or UHD. But that 77-incher, I mean, they haven't announced a price yet, but I am willing to bet it's going to be more like $30,000.
Oh my goodness!
Something along those lines. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and it's going to be curved, which means, and I'm not a big fan of curved TVs. I really am not. At least not until they're in the 100-inch plus size range. But in a 50, 60-inch, 70-inch TV, I really would prefer it to be flat. And both Korean companies, LG and Samsung, seem hell-bent on making curved screens. What can I say? I don't like them. I mean, they're not horrible, but it really, I think, is a feature, an unneeded feature. And OLED looks so fabulous, but it's got some problems. You asked if it's going to become mainstream, if it's going to become ubiquitous, and I think that's not for a while, because it's still expensive to make. The yields are still pretty low. We still don't really know how the longevity, particularly of the blue color, is going to survive over the long term. Now, LG does a slightly different, they do it different than Samsung. Samsung does it as I would have expected, to have a green OLED material, a red OLED material, and a blue OLED material. Say that 3 times fast. Anyway, and the question is, will those materials age at the same rate? And up till now, and maybe even still now, the blue tends to age faster and disappear. So LG went a different way. They include a white OLED phosphor. It's not a phosphor, really. It's a material that glows, and it's sort of like a phosphor. Anyway, and that supposedly helps solve the aging problem. Still in all, I think they're gonna remain expensive. They're mostly gonna be curved. And they're not going to be mainstream mostly because of the expense and the curve, both of them. It just isn't going to be a mainstream product. LED illuminated LCD TVs are going to be the mainstream product for years to come, I think.
Would you say a decade or so?
I don't know if I mean, a decade's a long time to predict out into the future.
Especially in electronics.
Especially in electronics, exactly so. So, I don't know if it's a decade out or maybe 5 years out. Maybe it'll sort of peter out. It's, we saw some other display technologies called SED and FED that sort of came to market, but they'd never actually made it to market. We saw demos of them, and wow, they looked fantastic. And then they disappeared. The SED, the case was a legal problem more than anything else. OLED does have the promise of plasma to make beautiful, deep, deep blacks, true blacks, which LCDs can't really do. I mean, they sort of can, and they're getting better at it day by day. But, OLED will just blow the pants off LCD.
What do you think? I should just hunt out a ZT panel? And
boy, that's a real bad problem, because the ZT60 is now selling for more than its retail price because it was so great.
It's the last one.
It's the last one. Well, what I would probably do, actually, is look for a Samsung F8500 plasma. Samsung just announced that they are getting out of the plasma business too now, but they're still—
I heard that earlier in the show.
Yeah, but they're still selling their flagship plasma, which is the UN, whatever the size of the screen is, F8500. And that is also a fantastic plasma, really beautiful. Better brightness than the Panasonic, actually. Much better brightness. Black levels comparable, maybe slightly less, but not so much as you'd worry about. And if you can find an F8500, my colleague at AVS Forum, Mark Henninger, just found one at Best Buy for, I think, $65 for a couple $1,000.
Wow.
And if you can find one of those, that is the plasma now to get. Sure, if you can find a VT60 from Panasonic, that would also, or ZT rather, that would also be fantastic. But the Samsung F8500 would also be phenomenal. You would be.
Can I just say one last thing?
Sure.
I just want to give a yell out to all those people who support Oppo. I have that product, that 105 Blu-ray player with its asynchronous DAC is just the absolute killer product to own.
Beautiful. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
I just absolutely love it.
Thank you so much. It's Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. One more segment to go. I can't believe it. I'm having so much fun. Can we do it again tomorrow? I think we can. But 3. Art Chandra in the chat room is asking, how frequently should one calibrate their TV due to component aging? Great question. I think doing it every year or 2 is perfectly sufficient. Oh, thank you. Dick, you're with us.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
Good. No, this is still GizFizz. We've had you on camera since last
since last Saturday.
We've been watching you
all this whole time.
Yes.
Okay. Even in my flight up here and my down at the Oakland A's game, which was man, it was 0-0 at the bottom of the 10th, and we just said, you know what, this could go on for many innings more, so we left.
How far are you from the airport?
About an hour's drive.
Oh, okay. And then you have another hour at that end, at the San Francisco end, right?
Actually, in Oakland Airport.
Oh, Oakland. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that a lot closer?
Well, no, they're about the same, I think, but A, we don't have to drive through San Francisco, and B, Southwest flies directly between Oakland and Burbank Airport, which is 10 minutes from my house.
Oh, wow.
As opposed to San Francisco goes to LAX. And that's another then that's another hour drive from LAX to our house through LA traffic. Thank you very much.
Definitely,
that's
if you're coming
great.
to Petaluma, fly to Oakland.
Yeah. It's just better to bypass the city altogether.
There's no way to get through San Francisco
without a lot of hassle.
To Marin or Sonoma, it's just
but you might as well come up the East Bay and over the Richmond Bridge, and it's all very nice.
Yeah,
so
you're on freeways the whole time.
The whole time, yeah. Now, they were kind of crowded last time when we came up, it was, it was like 8, 9 o'clock at night, and there was still traffic on the 80 going north.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing.
Thursday night, then?
Thursday night, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it would have been insane because everybody's getting out of town for the 4th.
Of course.
Sorry to be all traffic reporter.
Of course.
But no, and that maze area is horrible through Berkeley.
Yeah, exactly so. So, Dick, what have you got for us? I know I'm going to ask you online, but...
Yeah, I'll surprise you on air because I think it's something you're going to be interested in.
Oh, cool. Okay, all right. Let's have a little surprise. Where's Bacon Strip? A Tiger fan there, Bill in Michigan. I'm not really a sports fan at all. It's not like I was rooting for anybody in particular. I mean, sure, Oakland because we were there in their hometown, and I used to live in Berkeley, so okay, I can root for
You just go for the food.
Indeed.
Yeah, you just like those snack bars with the $12 Frankfurt.
I know. $11 beer. I had an $11 beer.
Oh, my word.
It was a Fat Tire. It was a nice beer.
Oh, okay.
But it was not the size of your head.
No.
Which, it should be for that much
money. For that much money. I have a photo. I was in New Orleans one year in the summer, and I have a photo of a guy holding a sign that says, "Big ass beers here."
I see.
That was hilarious. And, I mean, that's the goal in New Orleans, right, on Bourbon Street, is to get as drunk as you possibly can.
Interesting.
Oh,
and I must mention that my wife will be in the studio tomorrow. She's going to say hi to everybody in the chat room.
Yay.
Great.
Mrs. Scotty.
Mrs. Scott, that's right. Hey, everybody. Scott Wilkinson here, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I want to thank Nathan, our music director, so much for finding State of Independence, which I wanted to play in honor of Independence Day yesterday. And this is certainly one of my wife's favorite songs, and I love it too. Donna Summer singing State.
I have that recording.
Hey, you do. And look, who's here. It's not only someone who has Donna Summer's State of Independence recording, but Mad Magazine's maddest writer and the world-famous Gizwiz, Dick DiBartolo. Dickie D, so nice to see you.
The same. I have what I think will be a fun gadget for you.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that.
Because last week you were kind enough to be Celebrity of the Week on the Giz Fizz, and we both talked about, and neither one of us had the Harman Kardon Onyx Studio speaker system. Do you remember talking about that?
I do remember talking about that. I don't.
Okay, you know, it's the one they sort of got together with HTC. And the M81 has a special Harman Kardon edition.
That's right.
Well, yes. So the Harman Kardon Onyx Studio system is available to anybody with Bluetooth. So I did get a hold of one. Oh. It's a very strange. You obviously haven't seen it in person.
I haven't. No.
Okay. So it's an 11-inch black disc, and inside it there are 4 speakers, 2 3-inch woofers, 2 3/4-inch tweeters, 2 passive radiators, 15 watts a channel. So the entire unit is 60 watts. Because it's kind of big, the sound is really, really excellent.
Wow. And having passive radiators is really actually helps make that sound excellent, I'm sure. These are basically speaker drivers that don't respond to electricity, but rather to the pressure variations coming from the drivers that do respond to electricity.
Exactly. So the sound, I played it for a few people. The sound is excellent. The couple strange things about this, Scott. So there's a big handle on it. There's a battery in it, but it's so big, 11-inch diameter, you would never use this as a portable Bluetooth speaker. You know, you couldn't put it in the backpack.
I mean, it sounds about the same size as an LP.
Yes, you know what? That's just a touch smaller.
Yeah.
And it's about 5 inches thick. There's a battery in it. The battery life is, according to them, is just about 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So this is more a Bluetooth speaker if you want great sound, like bring it out in the backyard.
Right.
Or, you know, play it in the garage or the basement. And the other thing I thought was a little strange is there's no audio in jack. So it's
only uses Bluetooth. Only uses
Bluetooth.
All right.
You know, I was saying, wait a minute, what? No audio in? And then I was thinking, you know, when was the last time I used on a Bluetooth speaker?
Probably wasn't for a while. That's true.
No, it is. And the other thing is, don't believe that list. Scott, the list price is $400.
Wow.
Okay, so
it ain't cheap.
No, but I was going to say, pay no attention to the man asking the $400. I did a little shopping around. I found it on Amazon for half that.
Oh, okay.
And the people at Sprint said that from time to time they offer very large discounts for that if at the same time you are buying the Sprint Harman Kardon version of the HTC One
the M8.
M8.
The M8,
yeah.
Which is a fabulous smartphone. Now, that one I know something about because it actually has high-res audio capabilities. It can play back.
Yes, stereo speakers on the front of the case.
Yes. Can you believe that? Stereo speakers on the phone itself. Unbelievable.
And facing you.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as phone goes, I think that has you can really hear the stereo separation on that little phone.
You can. In fact, that phone itself may be enough to draw me away from the iPhone and into the Android universe because, man, oh man, I mean, I've heard it with headphones. I've heard its own little stereo speakers. I haven't heard this speaker you're telling me about, which I wanted to ask you. If it has two woofers and two tweeters, obviously it's trying to be stereo, right? I mean, you're sending it stereo by Bluetooth. Can you really even get much of a stereo separation?
You know what? They don't. The word stereo does not appear anywhere in anything that they in any of their literature. Their frequency response is 60 to 20,000.
Well, 60 is not. It's semi-respectable.
I was just going to say it's not down there, but it's a lot of these Bluetooth speakers are in that range. So,
well, certainly a Bluetooth speaker. I mean, part of the deal is that you want it to be portable, and it sounds like this one isn't. How much does it weigh?
5.5 pounds.
Well, you're not going to take that. You're not going to take that in your luggage, then.
Yeah, no, you are not. You are not. Yeah, your analogy of an LP. Picture having a 5-inch thick LP that weighs about 5 pounds. I think it's 5 pounds 6 ounces. You're not going to put it in your. It is your backpack.
It is your backpack. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm thinking about the stack of LPs. You remember those turntables that you stacked a bunch of LPs and they fell down one at a time?
Yes. yes, like that.
Exactly.
So if you want sound and just something for around the house or around the garden, this would be good.
Yeah. We've been talking. One caller called in about LPs, talking about LPs,
yes,
and digitizing them, with like a USB turntable. And somebody in the chat room said you might have something to recommend in that regard.
You know what? I don't know the name. I'll find out and I'll email one of the Twit people to tell you about it tomorrow.
Okay.
I have a little turntable over in the corner that plays LPs, and you put an SD card into it, and as it plays the LP, it copies it to the SD card.
Do you think it does a reasonably good job?
It does a fairly good job. You know who you can check out? I remember now. It's from Crosley.
I don't know that name, Crosley.
You don't know? Oh, Crosley, you'll love Crosley. They make knockoffs of all the old jukeboxes. They make reproductions of all the old radios. And what I love is when you walk to their exhibit at CES, you'll see a 1940s radio, and it says on it, "New model." It's a new model because it's the first time they're making it.
Right. But it's based on something from the 1940s or something.
Yes, if you tell your listener, just go, it's probably Crosley.com or CrosleyRadio.com. They have many different options to do what you want to do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know there are plenty of turntables that do that, but it's a process, and it takes some time. And I recommended to the guy that if he wants to digitize a whole collection, and some people have hundreds or thousands of albums, send them to a service that does it. Because otherwise, you're going to be spending months, years.
Yeah, it's all real-time copying.
Exactly. Well, what do you listen to? And what's the highest level audio that you have in your house, and TV too?
Yeah, you know what? I have a Bose home theater system. That's as far as I go. And you're going to think I'm very, very old and cheap. In my studio, I have Vizio monitors.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Vizio monitors, in my opinion.
And use a Vizio at Disneyland as a TV. And in my 2.5 room apartment, I am still using, it's still going strong, an Olivia 37-inch.
Oh my God! You know what? Yes. I have an Olivia. I'm using an Olivia, the 747, so it's a 47-inch. In my wife's room, she's using that, and what a wonderful picture that makes.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were going to scoff at me.
No.
Right,
now, Bose, I might scoff, but let's not go there.
Oh, okay.
The Olivia TV. This was a company that made TVs, I don't know, must be 10 years ago now.
Yes.
Flat panel TVs. And this one that I have is just phenomenal. It just looks beautiful.
Yeah. And Olivia was credited by a lot of people with driving down the price of LCD TVs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What Vizio is doing now, Olivia, I think, was doing back then.
You know,
was
that's
coming out with really decent sets for a very reasonable price.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, well, good on you. Hey, you know what? We've come to the end of the time. Thanks so much, Dickie D. Bartolo.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Hey, it's Scott Wilkinson, the home theater geek, filling in for Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week.
Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.